kid asks if it's too big, but the man says it's small even for the village's largest mansion. This style is new but perfect. The servants are amazed, and the hero finally feels he's not useless. A building spawns from thin air, shocking everyone. Together, they'll make this village thrive. 10 years after graduation, he traded the village for the city. Now, it's packed trains and a job that devours his free time. Too drained for novels, even on weekends, he barely catches the last train home. Slurping noodles over a video, he realizes life's a grind. He hits the bed, longing for his village's idol before passing out. He snaps his eyes open on a massive bed buried in pillows. The room is alien, and something feels dead wrong. His hands are tiny. Did he really shrink? He bolts to the window to check the situation. Outside, a fenced courtyard with a fountain. Our hero is totally lost. Then someone suddenly turns to Mr. Van. Van's 12-year-old maid, Till, warned him it was dangerous. He agreed and apologized, leaving her shocked. She asks if he's forgotten everything, but he's mesmerized by the garden Till's, shocked by Mr. Wang's vocabulary, especially since the kid is only 2. He's not 2, he's a 30-year-old Tokyo salaryman trapped in a toddler's body. New life, new world, what is going on? He's confused by these memories. Is this the same life the hero claims she's still his maid, and she joyfully confirms it? Meet Vanifertio Tills, stunned by his genius. He knows his father, Marquis Chalper, and brothers Marsha, Yardo, and Sesto, despite barely ever seeing them. Maids scramble to serve dinner at the Pertio mansion. At the head sits the 44-year-old patriarch, Marquis Jalpa Pulotti Fertio. Nearby sit the brothers, 14-year-old Marsha, 10-year-old Yardo, and 8-year-old Chesto. All eyes stay on the maids as they prep and feed little Wang. They cheer as he crushes his veggies and sits perfectly still. The hero is nailing it. Treated like a VIP, he thought this was a club and almost tipped 30,000 each, but the jokes stop now. Reborn with his past memories, he's still in shock. But man, this homegrown carrot is delicious. Marquis Yalpa asks Yardo about today's lesson. Nervously, the boy reports his fire magic and battle training every day. Dad grills the kids, under 10, at lunch and dinner, about their plans and results. Sesto proudly picks magic. Van expects to be skipped, but his father turns to him. Scratching his beard, he asks his youngest son his plans while the boy chews. Dead serious, he admits he's clueless and vows to study the country's history and culture first. Paul, Marsha, Yardo, and Sesto are stunned by the youngest's answer. The Marquis doesn't rage. He laughs. He admits they spoiled the boy as Mira's youngest, but he's still a wonderful baby. Jalpo knew his fire magic was world-class, and his family was safe. He'd wait 6 years for the official test to prove his power. The Marquis counts on him. Magic is common, but his affinity is everything. To rule, nobles must master 2 of the 4 elements: fire, water, wind, or earth, or healing magic to protect their land. His family masters the 4 elements, but he knows any magic is deadly in the right hands. House Fritio are militaristic nobles specializing in high-damage fire magic. This medieval world runs on magic, making gunpowder obsolete. Battles are fought with swords, spears, and bows, but magic is the ultimate weapon. In a world of 3 continents, we're in a massive southern nation on the western continent of Grant. The 300-year royal dynasty is expanding its borders, and this is the only port ships use. Massive monsters hunt the deep, making this narrow strait their only safe passage. Magic exists, so are there monsters. Too early for an age of discovery. Till explains the world races elves, gnomes, and beastkin. They stay isolated, so they rarely meet. A maid sees Till over-explaining, so the third suggests sleep. Till refuses, thanking her, but staying curious and asking if they're tired. The girls claim they refine, while Van grills Till about the magic tools. Gems store Mila to power magic tools. He asks how it works, and she breaks it down. Maids gossip about 2-year-old prodigy Wang taking care of them, unheard of for a noble, while the butler eavesdrops on it all. 49-year-old butler Espada asks Mr. Wang how much the 2-year-old has learned about letters and prime numbers. Hero recalls Espada, his father's veteran butler, though they've never shared a word. Scaring the boy, the butler grills him on his memories. The hero thinks this is no way to talk to a toddler, but claims he understands everything perfectly. Letters are tricky, so I ask about numbers. The hero mentions basic math, and the man shudders. Van wants out, but Spot forces him into a finger-counting test. 3 here, some there. He says, 5. 7 minus 2. Still 5. Silence hits. Then the butler offers to study with him twice a week. This is hell. No 2-year-old should know this much. He's drowning in it all. Asparas stood stone-faced, like a Gallum or undead. He pushed through his hellish lessons. He masters literacy in weeks, quickly learning the rules of war, nobility, and kingdom management. He spent 2 years training, wooden sword in hand, on the practice field. He swings, and the maids cheer his reflexes. The heroes are goofing off with Miko. He'd drop 50,000 yen on them. Fencing is a blast. Till snatches Mr. Wang's sword and claims victory with a grin. He pouts and chases her. Maids corner Till for insulting the master, demanding she regret it and face punishment. Wait, let's try. Maids corner Till for insulting the master, demanding. Hero agrees to the punishment. She confesses to insulting him, so he steps up and delivers a shalban. Punishment S over. He slacked off for 6 months, but by age 5, daily training had him clashing with future warriors. School judo and karate made him a martial arts fan. He wins by striking first, and it's surprisingly hype. In judo, breaking balance is everything. Read the move and strike hard. Karate's core rules apply to fencing too. A lanky 10-year-old swings a stick from a distance, but his attacks are repetitive and full of predictable habits. Study them to win Van 1, and the crowd erupt, praising the hero's 30-year mastery. He's more social than Yado and Sesto, who ditch fencing for fire magic. Wang reached out recently, but others still find him weird. 35-year-old Vice Chief Dai questions Wang. The boy knows he's facing one of the Marquis family's strongest. The man demands to see the boy's hands. Confused, he obeys. Dai noticed the man's soft skin and long nails, 0 calluses. The hero promised to train harder when he grew up. He thought Wang was losing night training, but he was wrong. Studying's tough, but the hero's grinding harder, and he still loves it. Espada triples his workload, leaving the boy stunned. He's the only one grinding 24/7, but D offers extra sword training if he wants more. This old man loves his books, but his sharp judgment makes him a natural swordsman. He's got talent, now he just needs to bulk up, master the basics, and train every day. D vowed to turn the hero into the kingdom's greatest swordsman. Van saw he was serious. This Espada was all theory, but Dai was pure action. The hero loved swords and study, vowing to master both. He says training is mandatory, but he'll handle it. The hero begs him to go easy. He agrees, but it's a total lie. Fresh off a run, Van begs for rest, but he still owes 100 push-ups, squats, and jumping jacks. He snapped back, no time for breaks, get to work. Sitting on the bench, the boy realized D was a literal demon. Seeing Wang resting, the deputy suggests moving the bench outside. The boy realizes he's no demon, just a total idiot. He kept insulting him While Dee sat outside, nights passed. He told Mr. Wang to obey the deputies until she praised the boy's work. He thanked her. He grinds daily. Hero life is rough. But since his rebirth, every day is a total riot. Feeling a satisfaction he never knew before, he'll dominate this noble world and live his best life. 3 years later, the former child prodigy is now mocked as a pathetic loser. Jalpo Pol Artifertio grabs his sword and warns the hero leave his family or die. Versio's bright second life ends here. His father raises his sword to strike. 2 years ago, 6-year-old Wang stares out his carriage at the massive crowds, mesmerized, until he spots a knight leading a man away. He's devastated, but Till snaps him out of it, calling his name. She remembers he wanted a walk and asks where to go, suggesting the market. Use Marquis final version 6-year-old Vanafertio remembers his past life, reborn as a Marquis's 4th son, this Wunderkind. Despite the massive size gap, 12-year-old recruits can't touch Mr. Wang. He's even mastering adult-level studies. It's unreal. Till bragged he was a genius fencer destined to surpass his brothers and lead the family. For nobles, power is everything, and the winner takes all. In this cutthroat world, assassinating a gifted younger brother is just standard business. His brothers would kill him in a heartbeat. Chasing the family throne only puts a target on his back, making a happy life impossible. Our hero wants to slack off, but he's clueless about fun. A former workaholic, Mr. Wang hits the city's best market to figure it out. Shopping first. The market's packed, and the hero's flanked by 2 escorts. They hit Mary's HQ. Her empire spans the whole kingdom. He compares its size to a massive US corporation, then hears a voice in the dark bark, an order to hurry. Just a kid. The man snaps at their stares, but this is no act. Knights draw their steel, and he instantly trembles. Wang stops them, demanding to know who the kid is and why he's bound. He claims it's for his son's own good, drowning in debt. He sells the boy as a servant. The Servant Act only allows servants from debt or crime, but poor families sell their kids just to survive. The man transferred deaths to his son to forge a silent servant. He's a mangled wreck, but nobody blinks in this society. Everyone's gone numb to the horror. A woman appears, asking if he's the Marquis, as son Till confirms. She flashes the hero's robe, revealing him as the legendary prodigy Vanafertio. Rosalie welcomes him to Mary's company, promising to find him whatever he needs. Realizing the boy's a Marquis, the man starts shaking. The hero thinks the man fears the law, but Van knows he's selling a child. He asks Rosalie for the 8-year-old's price. She asks about magic. He reveals the boy has thief magic. She scoffs. He's only worth 3 silver coins. He pointed to a shop. Paying over 5 silver coins per servant, higher stamina, meant a bigger payday. Rosalie lowballs him at 3 silver girls, fetch double, but since small boys are useless and expensive to raise, he's worth less. Dear Op, hard, and the boy hit the dirt. He complained he couldn't even get real cash from him. He kept bashing his son, shouting at anyone trying to stop him to back off. She calls him an idiot, claiming he's unsellable and lying about the kid. Enraged, he screams he's done being mocked and cancels the deal. He tells the boy to get up. They're hitting another shop. Suddenly, a voice interrupts. He's buying it. Van steps up. The crowd gasps as he buys the kid for 5 silver. The kid steadies himself. He's dead if this keeps up. The man demands his cash. Tiller only has gold. No silver 5s. Rosalie offers to swap them. He snatches the coins and bails, not even glancing at his son. The boy sat alone on the ground. Hero unties the kid, checks if he's hurt, and asks for his name while offering a hand to help him up. The boy grabbed his hand and introduced himself as Kazmun. Van tells him he's free to go anywhere. Till asks if he's a servant, but he's just helping. The hero realizes he's too irresponsible to walk the streets alone. He suggested going home with them. Certain work was waiting. The knights say Marquis only lets strangers stay if they re his servants. Hero asks if he's satisfied. The kid agrees. Van wants to shop for gear, but Roxana stops him. Contract first. She orders them to hold out their hands. She grabs their hands, chants, and the whole world flashes. Kazmin reveals a mark, telling the hero she's a contract mage, bound until the pact ends. First time's free. He thanks her, but the guilt lingers. Stunned by the noble's thanks, Roxana snaps back and shows them the clothes. First, clothes for Kazmun. Hero grabs the boy's hand, catching him by surprise. He's mortified. It's his first time. She praises his taste. He asks what she'd find comfortable, and she points out the high-quality fabric. Roxana suggests a best-selling servant outfit, but the hero refuses to look like help. She gets it. Next up, shoes and underwear. She thanks him, matching his style perfectly. He can too believe it. His first walk, and he's already bought a servant. Everything's fine now. Kazman enters, recruiting the hero for the Knights of D. The hero hands over the liver and asks for an alibi, but the boy sees through the lie and refuses. Van asks why the boy's gloveless. He says he doesn't need them. The hero knows he won't be happy to see her. Kazman munches a cookie, telling them to show their connection, but Van thinks it's a mistake. The boy then mentions his bottom gloves. The servant puts it on, but D interrupts. He's told the master is gone. But he knows a witness just entered. Are his feelings for the master even real? He spots crumbs on the boy's face and asks where they re from, but the kid gulps them down and plays dumb. Dai screams he paid the bribe and demands obedience, but Kesman only serves Master Wong. Impressed by his guts, the deputy replaces Mr. Wang as his trainer. He should be flattered. He yanked the boy along while the hero peeked from the door, calling his comrade a poor soul. He plays lazy to secure a normal life, hiding his genius until Kazmin fails and he has to step in. 8-year-old prodigy Mr. Wang's magic test is coming, and the village is hyped. They love their kind visitor and want him to become their lord. 30 sons wield fire and wind, and they are certain he's a fire user too. A voice yells from the center he hasn't mastered a single element. His father and brothers glare in fury. Wang lacks all 4 elements. His brothers mock his production magic, a useless power that only creates objects. Alchemy turns metals like iron into weapons through pure imagination, but size is its one major limit. Jewelry weapons drain massive mana, but inventors and blacksmiths don't need magic to craft. After 2 years of playing the prodigy to survive his brothers, these test results are a total shock. He expected elemental or healing magic, but the Fertio family only prizes fire. Marcia inherited wind magic from his grandma and is grinding to lead the family, but his fire-wielding brothers still mock him despite wind being a noble element. Magic defines nobility, but Van's no prodigy. His fire-wielding parents, Mira and his father, can't believe their last child was born with production magic. His frail mage mother died at birth, leaving his father expecting greatness. The crew cut the talk and drew their steel. Drawing his sword, he scoffs that expecting anything from him was a mistake from the start. The Marquis family has no room for production magic. He swings his blade. Mocking the pathetic loser, he gave an ultimatum, leave the family or die then. He swung. Van froze, his mind a total blank. Marcia leaps in front, shielding the boy with her body. Dad asks what happened, so the son explains that a remote village on their land is a development nightmare. He told them to leave her to Van. 100 people live here producing nothing, but the northern Wolfsburg years are loaded with resources. Between Fairdonat and hostile Aranat, this village sits near a strategic fortress, the perfect launchpad for expeditions into Count Ferdinand's territory. He gained this land as a marquis, but the bitter Count Ferdinand keeps sending knights to raid it. Send Wang to the village and station knights in his county. The new land isn't loyal, so a Marquis family member must secure it. Van's father named him the village master, telling him to leave whenever he's ready. Classic Marcia. He salvaged the junk and bailed, leaving the hero to face his brother. He knelt and apologized to the kid. His family's wind element pressure makes this reckless proposal a total insult. He's right to be offended. Wang's brother saved him. Without him, he'd be dead, jailed, or sold as a tongueless servant. No matter the odds, he won't waste the chance his brother gave him. Marcia calls Van a total genius. Where'd the kid learn that he thinks like a pro, instantly humbling Espada after years of his constant bragging? The Marquis will regret that border exile Marcia's powerless, but she'll give it her all. Hoping to help the hero, he reaches for his brother as Van smiles. He thanks his brother and shakes his hand. Till yells that magic or not, Wang is a brilliant noble. They even exiled him to the country. Their master is a beast. Wang warns her to stay silent, but he's ready to leave. He realized ditching noble rules meant total freedom. Time to plan his future. As village owner, he's got zero work and way too much free time. He's turning this village into a paradise, and he's about to be slammed. Aristocrats are frauds. They talk big, but they're cowards who ditch the people to protect their own power. A scarred man discusses an escort for a young noble. Is he a nice guy or a stuck-up noble? Most people think that's what adventurers are. So why take the job to stay in the duchy? They had no choice. Wang walked up, greeting the group and thanking them for coming along. The scarred man greets the boy with a head scratch. The hero is instantly awestruck by his power. He's a war hero with a massive weapon. He says, "Weight equals power." The party bonded with the kid and hit it off. The chief adventurer weighed his options. He's with a normal kid. I'd love to head pat, but manners first. The girl nearly called him Wang Kun. Hero scans the files. Apparently, talking to adventurers is totally normal. 3 carts are loaded. No knights, so Marcia hires 10 adventurers. The hero thanks his brother. He and Kamson shared a carriage until Till joined as his personal maid. His unfit magic stayed hidden, and everyone was sworn to silence. Some people never quit die tags along with his swords to start training, but Van hates the idea. He shouldn't have knight escorts, but he plays dumb, shouting until they clear the road and follow they obey. Esbata's retiring early with his successor ready. Jalpa agrees. At 55, he's heading to the countryside for some peace. He can believe the hero ditched a loyal veteran like Espada, replacing him one to be easy. Boarding the carriage, the man wonders if he can learn from the kid, while the boy mentally begs him to stop. The hero's confused why they're following him to this remote village, but he's glad to have Dee's brawn and Esbata's brains. Till notices his mood and she catches him smiling. Caught off guard, the hero's sweating the border trip, but Wang just smiles and thanks them for the backup. Every maid wanted the job, but Till fought Master Marcia for the spot, claiming her status as his personal maid. Marcia's too busy for maids, and Yardo and Sesto ignore them entirely, but Wang, he's different. Greets them, buys treats, and even helps clean. They sparred together, and the maids adore him. Van tells Casman he's free to stay. Scrap the contract, or let Marcia look after him. It's his choice. Kameen pledged his life and swore eternal loyalty to him. Confused, the hero asks if he's serious. He admits he adores him, leaving the hero beet red. No crest on the carriage, The Marquis is hiding his exit, pretending this trip doesn't exist. Leaving after 2 years was tough. Guard Mr. Wang's daughter asked where he was headed, but he was stunned who told her he was leaving. She points to the carts marked for Wang's departure. Mr. D orders a public exit, refusing to sneak away like a criminal. Unaware the hero's dad demanded total secrecy. He's asleep in the carriage, but Dai himself is already shouting that Marquis Vine Fertio's youngest son is leaving. The boy knows he must stop him. Locals swarm Mr. Van about his exit, and the hero is pleasantly shocked. He smiles, thanks them, and heads out. He didn't expect this much worry. Goodbyes are brutal. Someone hands him a handkerchief. Till was the one actually sobbing. Handed a meat skewer, the hero sets up his first real camp, a far cry from sleeping in his old car, especially in this magic-filled danger zone. They hire 2 adventurer teams, led by Auto Sith, a 20-year veteran who knows exactly how to handle his clients. Only 8 and a total pro, Wang thanks him for the patrol, but tells him to rest. The man stared down the hero, demanding to know what happened. Orthos denies it. Promising a report later, hero asks Till what's up, and she says his kindness is so obvious he could list 100 reasons why they're great. They push on, hopping cities and camping along the way. He hit 4 cities, but heavy luggage slowed them to a crawl. Covering 100 kilometers daily, they've hit 1,000 kilometers in 2 weeks. The Marquis land is massive in Japan. They'd have crossed 4 prefectures by now. Till says they're arriving soon. Like a department head transfer, he needs to nail the first impression. The carriage slams to a halt. Till peeks out, asking what happened. The coachman reports the village was attacked. The village is under attack. The heroes are stunned. Everyone hopped out and circled up to plot their next move. Bandits or mercs are raiding. It's kill or be killed. He'll adapt to the carnage soon. The village fence is massive, but it won't stop arrows. Armored warriors and mages line the gate, while the villagers hunker down inside like a turtle in its shell. Dai get the Lord's permission to fight together. They'll find a way, but they're facing 50 enemies. Even a surprise attack won't fix. Author warned, it's too dangerous. D knows they'll retake the village, casualties or not. Authos's rule is simple, no lethal risks, even if danger is standard for adventurers. He'd be dead if he risked it all every time, but now he must. These are his lord's first lands and people. Ortho's a noble knight, but they're trash. He won't die for their money, so D makes a demand. If things get worse, they better run, or those 2 knights are dead. Espada objects. 30 enemies, half of them mages, will kill D and make the village recapture pointless. He's the true 4-element mage. With the terrain in his favor, he's got their back. Ortho asks if he'll fight, but he's not taking any chances. He builds a wall for cover while adventurers snipe. Once the enemy is distracted, D and his knights flank them. If both strikes land, they win. Mages and archers are a problem, but this armored carriage is the key. Strike first, jump in, and escape. The mission bait the enemy. Van asks if the butler's fighting. He's in hiding means they all die. The hero refuses to let him die alone. The spotter begs to be selfish, but the boy offers himself as bait. Everyone stared and flat-out refused. Till screamed her refusal. If he's the bait, she's charging in too. Together, victory is guaranteed. Kazman's only in if Till joins. Van orders everyone to listen. He asked about his new ownership of the village. They better listen. These adventurers are just escorts, not soldiers. Espada's retired. After everything he's done for the Marquis, he's not dying in a place like this. D and the crew belong to his father. They answer only to him, and the old man won't let anyone touch them. Till's his closest bond. A big sister he won't let die. Kazman respects his resolve, But servant or not, he must choose his own fate. He's happy knowing he lived a full life. They followed a family outcast. People this loyal shouldn't die. He won't just bark orders like his old boss. He'll lead from the front and take responsibility, asking for their forgiveness. He charges the carriage while they flank. Long range is useless if it fails. Run. They can leave his body. His life is forfeit. No names means the Marquis is safe. Suddenly at his side, Ortho Habelsh El Akri of the Al-Berpathan vows they're finally risking everything and the kid is ready to die. One more time and they'll snap. She expected a typical noble, but he's different. Most just talk. But when he calls out plural, she laughs, stunned. He actually remembers their names. She's ready to die for him. Everyone agreed the hero couldn't admit he only remembered her name because she was cute. Marked as the Marquis Knights, they serve Lord Wang, the future heir. They'll guard him like the family's entire future. As Sparta warns the hero once this ends, he must face the heavy burden of succession. He promises 3 days, but the hero's intimidated by his massive, scary frame. The old man's plan: build a wall and strike from a distance. D's knights flank left, Orto's team hits right, and the rest hold the line. Knights charge, but Esparta raises a wall. The adventurers stare in pure shock. They're stunned. He's already built walls. This old man's a pro. A 4-element mage serving as a butler is unheard of. Yet here he is. Asked why he'd risk his life for a noble he could have refused, Author declares he's destined for greatness and won't die yet. He'd crown him king if he could. 2 weeks flipped his entire view on adventurers. He never knew nobles like this existed. Used to Mr. Wang, always saving the master, he was completely clueless. Escorting this village master was a nightmare. But he'd die for his duty, risking everything to protect his land, his staff, and even the high-ranking nobles. He planned for everyone to live except himself, an 8-year-old kid. Ortho thought this hero was beyond weird. Till and Kazman embrace the hero. She weeps, insisting she's fine. While he vows to die as a shield, the hero is devastated. They were closer than blood. Patting their heads, he knows he must help. The trio grabs meds and tools from the carriage. Backups ready if things get dangerous. Till and Kazman dry their eyes and agree. The robbers got sloppy. Lawless towns fall fast. The bandits count the women and prepare for a holiday. Suddenly, an arrow slams into one of them. Gunfire erupts as mysterious walls appear, leaving everyone baffled. The robbers realize they're being hit from both sides. Ortho saw D and his knights handle those massive blades with ease. Meet the fair Teo Knight's deputy head. Terrified and outmatched, the robbers realized they couldn't win and fled. A bandit bolts, but Ortho spots him. He yelled they'd stopped the robber charging the wall. The enemy needs to distract the snipers. He screamed a warning. The enemy is closing in. A massive robber loomed right beside them. Her magic is on a 10-second cooldown. He wanted to make it in time. Plurial braced for death. Kazmin arrives. A heavy armored hero arrives. Plurio calls it suicide. 2 kids stand no chance. Van slides under the robber and slashes his hamstrings. Kazman charges in. He smashes the opponent's head, dropping him cold. Pluriel's stunned. Van warns, enemies are swarming. Stay sharp. The girl doesn't get what's wrong with this kid. Bandits fled. The rest were crushed, and 0 lives were lost. Perfect once the final payment hits. They redone, but suddenly, Plurial fires at Ortho, catching him. Ortho stays as payment. The adventurers agree since they were already heading to the next county, promising to meet again soon. One guy stays, but the other bails to hunt the nearby mountains for a bigger payday. Plurial says, Van isn't your average noble. His genius makes adults jealous. That's why he's staying tiny, but brilliant. Van proves a noble upbringing doesn't define you. Wang's a genius. He looks like a typical arrogant noble, but he's actually a polite, easygoing guy who treats every commoner with total respect. Author's never seen aristocrats like these. His magic is useless in a fight. He was ready to die, but Pluriel says he saved her now. She's repaying the debt. Not even 10. This mystery noble wants to see your future empire, so he's joining your cause. The party backed him up. Tilt told Wang to prioritize his life. The hero agreed, but the girl made him repeat it. Kessman knew he had to step up. Pluriel approached, asking if they were okay. So young, and already making girls cry, Van claims he's just being honest with those he cares about. The party asks if he's an elf. As kids, they look just like humans. She's always been rude to the noble. The hero explains Till is just a commoner who raised her, and seeing he doesn't mind her attitude, she asks about fencing. Wang points at Dai, revealing he trained the small kid to one day surpass him. Pluriel reveals his butler, Espada, is his trainer. The hero confirms it. His mindset is built by those around him. The adventurer bows, declaring his blade will save her when danger strikes. She thanked him, vowing never to forget. The hero smiled, saying everything was fine. He's got serious noble charisma and has already won over the adventurers. Sparta spots villagers swarming the gate. Not the welcome Till expected, but they've finally arrived. Wang says it's their first meeting. They have to make a good impression. The hero introduces himself to the ragged villagers living in crumbling ruins. Lord Fultio, the territory's new ruler, sent him to take command of the village. Elder Rhonda steps forward, thanking them for saving his village. Rumors say neither owners nor soldiers run this village. To save the village, he's taking command and needs your support. Too formal, Ortho fought back a laugh. Rondo thanks him and leads him inside, explaining that 150 people once lived in this village. 2 raids left only 100 survivors. Today is strike 3, and it's different. The boy demands to know why are they the target. He suspects nearby Geronetta the border guard patrolled here under Count Ferdinand, but the new lord has abandoned the post. The village is safe now. It belongs to Lord Fulufio. The lord's influence saved Rhonda's neck. Ferdinand has allies everywhere, but since Ferdbodio only governed the big cities, the small villages are a total mystery. Small villages need no protection and pay 0 taxes. Wang stops him, demanding to be notified of everything. Complaining about this country won't change a thing. Malaga, Rondi's son, leaps up and demands to know what they told the nobles. The hero saw a strong, sharp man, but his hot temper doomed the village. The boy told him to sit. He speaks for everyone now. Nobles need accountability, but founder King Bryleen might have left a major flaw in the law. Eyes on the hero, Espada cleared his throat. Van isn't afraid to rule a dying village, not when he has them. Complaining about the law changes nothing. I have 3 solutions, and she's stunned. There are so many ways out. Create something the kingdom can't ignore. Fund a mercenary army and rebuild the village yourself. She'd already thought of that, but none of it would be easy. Shipping costs kill profits on raw materials, and these uneducated villagers can to craft anything worth selling. No profit means no reason to rebuild, yet they showed up anyway. Fully trained, the hero vows to protect and grow the village. Silence follows until Espada steps in, introducing himself as the Fertio House butler. 8-year-old Master Wang rules the land. A bold prodigy, he's already forged a loyal bond with the Knightly Order's deputy leader. Stunned by the high-ranking officials, the villagers feel like they were dreaming. Malaga asks if they were truly here to help. They asked if he had the 4 elements. He said he had none, so donned to expect a fight. The residents were hopeless. So Wang ordered the walls fortified to keep everyone out. The wooden walls are strong but flammable. He asks Espada about the stone, who reveals it's only hard while magic is active. Otherwise, it's just dirt. They'll use the lumps to reinforce the walls. Any size works, and he's sure they'll finish in time. A ditch would stop the bandits, so Dee's crew handled it. They're already trench-digging pros. He sets traps and preps the wall, arming peasants with bows and stones. Then he has Rhonda gather the village to reveal the plan. The hero finished his speech, vowing to grow the village and thanking the residents for their support. He's just a kid, but his elite squad will crush any bandits and build a thriving village. Hero looks like a politician. A resident speaks up. He checks the taxes. 30+ monster loot is a rip-off, so he slashes the rate to 10 with a one-time payment option. Stability is priority. Debt forces parents to sell their kids, so tax cuts are a must. The woman asks to summon the nightly order. Help is 6 weeks away, too late to matter. The distance is too great. No one's coming, and the residents are starting to turn. Hero gets the rage, but the Marquis is broke and out of men. Even with the knights, they outnumbered. They need 200 soldiers to defend this land. Food, horses, armor, tools, it all adds up, and mercenaries cost even more. Hero has a spotted build a wall behind the fence, shocking the locals. They need them now more than ever. With their help, this village survives and grows stronger. Low on space, they crash in a wagon. Rhonda tried giving his house away, but couldn't just dump it on the street. He never complained about his production magic or felt bitter. Without elemental powers, you're just out of luck. He tries to convince them, but they're skeptical. To save the village, he must win their trust. He'll use his magic to shield the village and turn it into a paradise. Dee says, defense isn't enough. You have to strike back. They usually snipe from the walls with magic arrows, but low walls make the attack weak. Rondo used spears through forest gaps before Dee notes the enemy's back in position. Time to spear them again. Van suggests a catapult, but Espada says it's for sieges, not defense. Rhonda's clueless. Catapults are slow and inaccurate, but their massive boulders easily crush giant walls and watchtowers. Stone-filled boxes widen the blast. Aiming for the gate maximizes damage, but adding oil and a torch creates an instant firestorm. Spada asks who built this. Hero claims the credit, but his team rejects his production magic. He doesn't fully understand it yet, but after practicing on stone and metal during his journey, it's time to show everyone his true power. The hero asks to seize the village now that the opposition is gone. He's sticking around to hunt monsters for quick cash. He says it looks clean. Sensing monsters, he orders them to hurry and clear the trees. Ort's insane intuition shocks the hero as they crush hidden enemies he didn't even know were there. He's skilled but can't level up. Casman summons the master and points to a massive tree. Too big, the boy says. Impossible to cut. The servant points to another, but it's just as massive. His visualization failed, so he forces the magic into a fragile, weird shape. Magic is tough, but a tiny spark of focus gets it done as heat swells in his gut and surges to his fingertips. Make it tiny, but hyper-detailed, showing every tree fiber, intertwine them into a rock-solid knot. The hero pulled it off. Shredded fibers are bound into a wooden cube that looks exactly like plastic. Tills, stunned by the cube's quality, the hero explains they're nanofiber blocks, stronger than wood, and perfect for building anything. He tells them to haul it to the carriage first. The adventurers are confused. Wasn't he just out gathering wood? Ortho grabbed a cube, shocked by its lightness and insane durability. Breaking it looked impossible, so the hero stepped up. Wait, let's check the... He wants to see his true strength. Blade out, He hurls the cube at the stone as everyone watches. The stone S dented, but the cube S barely scratched. Flawless and powerful, Till was hyped as it shattered the stone. Hero asks stone or wood. Werthau says stone breaks, but this light block won. Hero just found a game changer. Mid-ride, Wong realizes his mana is tapped out, and that spells, trouble magic, is complex but logical, and Till claims everything is crafted with skill. Magic's is simple, visualize the whole weapon, every sharp, metallic detail. Success. The hero caught Kazman's glowing gaze. He hands it over. The boy beams, vowing to make it a family heirloom. Till expected a gift too, but he handed her a skull axe. She was crushed. She thanks him. He asks if she hates the weapon, but he forged it to be indestructible. Till saves the mood, claiming she loves axes and adores the cool hatchet. Glad she liked it, he mentally apologizes and vows to craft her an ornament. He's unsure of the mana drain, but it's the perfect way to level up his production. Surveying his creations, the hero saw a wild new way to use them. I start building the wall here. It grows every 12 hours. Otto calls the butler a crazy but elite mage. The hero's hyped, he's on Esparta's level. This loyal pro carried the Marquis through every crisis. Something's off. Mages this strong usually join the military. As an adventurer, he'd be max rank. Hero's glad he followed instead of retiring. The future matters just as much as the past. He wants the spider to grow old and happy as Spada appears, noting the Lord's growth and warning him to shoulder the heavy burden of his title. 3 days, 0 progress. Defense is the priority now, so he's fortifying the gates. The butler asks for a buff, vanishes, and offers to help pile the stones. Van's here for magic, and a shocked Dai is totally in awe. Magic was a dead end. He realized it was just wood, like carving blocks. The weight was a concern, but it was their only defense against the enemy. Everyone's paralyzed with shock. They can't believe their eyes. Hero transforms the gate into a massive portal bearing the duchy's crest, leaving the crowd jaw-dropped. The boy orders Otho to slash the door to restore himself. The hero's testing the wall's strength, so Otho needs to go all out. The adventurer strikes first. He kept striking, forcing everyone to cover their ears. He froze in shock. A scratch remained. Wood is a weak material, so everyone's stunned. How did he do it? Why is it so tough? He's proud he could help at least. He hopes so. Morning hits, and the hero wakes in a carriage. Cramped bags and no showers make for a brutal trip. After nights in camps and carts, they reach the village only to be stuck sleeping in the carriage again. This noble finally feels like an adventurer. Till and Kazman hop out of the carriage and greet him. He's holding up, but the rest are at their limit. They're gassed. This can't last. Before defending the village, they need food and shelter. The boy starts by building a house. He orders Kazman to fetch wooden blocks. Kazman obeys, while Rhonda questions a pile of stones. Van wants to build a house here, but is the area safe and suitable? Hero picks the village center for Van's mansion and a nearby square. They can host festivals in their downtime. He's strong, but can he build more than a house? To house Kazman, Espada, and Dee's knights, he drives support beams into the ground like wires. The thicker, the better. Floor, walls, then the roof. Dante forget the interior. It's way bigger than he pictured. Blocks are gone, but the house is complete. It's got a kitchen, toilet, and 2 bedrooms, but 2 rooms are still empty. He needs to fill them fast, or Spot. He's shuttering the windows. Ask the merchant for quartz sand. Hero asks if he's too big. Spotters call it small, but it's the area's biggest mansion, not wood, but stunning. Till's impressed. And Kazman says Wang's magic rivals a king. Magic was cool, but Wang still preferred raw offensive power. The Lord must be a stone wall for his people, till chooses his city over Marquis Jalpa's, but the hero thinks she's just playing favorites. Espada claims heroes are for war, but peace demands a ruler who actually improves lives. Nobody's a better fit for this role than him. Kazman pledges his loyalty. The hero awkwardly thanks him, but a sudden scream cuts them off. The hero says, "Magic built the house." The knights are stunned. He wasn't here minutes ago. Wang says more wood means houses for everyone. Dai ordered the wood moved by noon carts or not. The knights scrambled with record speed, leaving the hero stunned. The usual lazy vibe. Gone. Autos hitting the forest now. He chops, they haul, and they can't let the knights catch up. Hero thinks he's in a village. Why the house? Residents gape in shock. As Rhonda claims he was told he could build, everyone started hating on their homes. One house won't cut it, but these shacks are flimsy. He orders them to line up. New homes for everyone. The locals are thrilled. If magic makes them this happy, he has no choice. Espada and the villagers build barricades, while Dee and Auto gather wood. Hero grabs Till and Kazman to build houses. He's mastered his powers and can build anything. Now he just wants to design his own interior. Taking orders triggers his corporate trauma, but he can stop. Dees is stunned, calling it a masterpiece. Buildings grouped in fours on a grid. This block development is set to expand. Commoner houses are identical for now. They'll get custom stone homes later, but the people are already beyond grateful. He built a bathhouse near the mansion, and the girls loved it. Hero just wanted a bath, but their joy makes it worth it. Pluriel purifies the water with magic and cranks the heat with fire. Till and Plurel invite him to bathe. The maid thinks 8-year-old Kazman looks 10, so he joins the adults to prove he's grown up. He's over 20. Van says he is an adult too. The girls laughed and agreed, but he'd soon regret it. After a bath, he's glad to have a roof, but the room is empty, sleeping in a bag indoors. Talk about depressing. He rushed to prep beds for everyone, using the locals' donated hay and straw. The beds leafy. Our hero's loving it. Said goodnight and passed out. Morning hits, and he digs into a delicious breakfast. He's fully charged after a solid rest, but Till's worried they're low on ingredients. Breakfast and laughs with Till are great, but defending the village doesn't pay the bills. They need a steady income. Espada says they arrive monthly, and traders are their only link to the outside world. Espada's acting dead serious, but he's got omelette stuck to his mustache. He's got the house and supplies covered. With food stocked, it's time to build defenses. The butler's out of seasoning and the ingredients for his favorite pastry. Surprised, the hero eyes Till, but she avoids his gaze. He needs to sell something in this village fast, and asks her for an idea. Casement suggests wooden blocks, but Van refuses since only he can craft them. Till's hunting proposal gets shot down next. Espada suggests selling the harvest, but the village's quirks make quick cash impossible. Words out, Mr. Wang's in love. Kasara volunteered to test it. He's a scout, but his real job is disarming traps. They fear ruining Wang's gift. But the hero tells Till and Kazman it's fine. Oak Knight Shield, leather-wrapped for maximum strength and flexibility. Kazman taps the shield. Kasara knows he's holding back, but calls the strike too weak. Kusa flies off the shield, leaving everyone stunned. The adventurer sobs over his brand-new gear, but Van tells him to hold the shield. He's making it even stronger. Shield as a whole again. Kasaro's thrilled, but author questions the fuss. They made it just in time. He asks to sell the ore. Powerful spirits infest the deep forest near the Wolfsburg Mountains, but they can still mine rare minerals from the outskirts. Iron, silver, copper, and even gold. He shows the haul to Mr. Wang. Mithril ore. Our heroes shocked and hyped. Orthos got a plan, remote terrain made extraction impossible before, and those nightly raids don't care about herbs or minerals anyway. Pros, see a prime mining spot. If the foothills are this rich, the Wolfsburg Mountains hold even more. Hero hits the iron first. Wood processes evenly, but magic hits iron at different speeds. Result: a perfect cube. Kazara suggests a thin, double-edged blade, but Orpho's unsure if he likes swords or just iron weapons. He offers to forge everyone's weapons, so Sarah requests a dagger and a long sword. Hero forges the first iron weapon. He forged the blade in record time, handed it to Zara, and happily declared himself their first client. The crowd buzzes as the hero forges his weapons. Hero hands the upgraded sword to Zara, who weeps with joy. Adventurers swarm him for gear, leaving the boy stunned that pros actually want his weapons. Pluriel says it'll sell for a fortune after testing. Espada's stunned finding deposits in a forest instead of mountains is a total rarity. Stone and iron golems are the exception. A nearby dungeon explains everything. The adventurers hadn't seen anything like it. The area's unexplored, so a dungeon is likely hiding nearby. Spada says finding the dungeon changes everything, turning this village into a trade gold mine. Wang says a new dungeon would skyrocket the village's value. Dungeons are absolute gold mines. Most of their gear and jewels are dug from underground, making them priceless. Finding a dungeon is a massive win for adventurers. If they report the dungeon, they can host guild members. They re-out of food and supplies. Plus, neighboring countries could attack. The Furtios will kill the hero the first chance they get. We must build up this village before announcing the dungeon. Keep the dungeon secret. It's too valuable to the crown and the lords. His family calls him trash. If he claims the dungeon now, his brothers will steal it. He'll use force to keep this village for himself. Housing S, handled now for the cash and the defense. We need skilled hands. We've got to gear up before the merchants arrive. Defense is vital, and the outer wall is almost done. With magic, he turned these stones into concrete hard walls, perfecting their height and thickness. He mounted leather ballistas along the walls. Its front shield lets it fire massive bolts while ignoring counterattacks. He mounted ballistas on heads surrounding the village and praised Kasmin's work. He just gave him stones and transformed the village with ease. He's a lord bound to serve the village, then asks Cosmin, "What's your goal?" He's bound to be asked this. His answer: to protect him. Wang thanks him, but tells him to chill. Kasman's always looking out for him. He spent 3 days straight forging the ultimate armor to keep his dear knights safe. Espada says it's no village, it's a fortress. No bandit is getting past these walls. Had Jalpa realized Lord Wang's power, the Marquis house would have thrived. Espada says the househead only values combat, making arguments useless. But Dee insists Van will eventually surpass everyone. They bickered while Kasmin watched in shock. The hero stayed silent. He says, regretting your birth or talent is useless. Just adapt and survive with what fate gave you. He dropped a familiar line, and they loved it. Dee laugh-sided with the master. Spirits are high time to grind. The ditches are dug, but dry. Water moats are the ultimate defense, and they look sick. Water is life, and the hero needs a better source. Suddenly, a scream rings out trouble. Bandits, they're already breaching the other wall. Hero orders everyone behind the walls, raise the bridge, and shut the gates. He ordered a search for anyone left outside. They obeyed his orders, but were still too scared to fight. Just like last time, he's scared, but a lord can't show it. He's taking command. They're terrified, but this fight decides the village's future. He's fighting too, but he can't win alone. He rallies the residents for backup. Together, they'll defend the village. They teamed up, and the hero thanked them. He orders 5 guards to every tower and 10 to the gates. He rushed up the stairs, but Till blocked him. He insisted on going too. The hero ordered him to scout the enemy's plan, while he continued giving orders. Dee tells the master to trust him, boasting he's a genius leader and the absolute best point 546. Surrounded, he still wins. With elite troops and perfect tactics, he's officially surpassed Commander Straydale. Now serving Mr. Wang, he's constantly stunned by the man's endless surprises. He's betting his life on him. Next, look at this. The group in the distance finally comes into focus. Bandits. The hero asks what's happening. 100 enemies are charging from a few hundred meters out. They need to brace for impact. Now, the boy suspected they were being followed. Scouts spotted the tail. Bandits flee an armored dragon, but it's not alone, and there's way more than 2. This is bad. Even pro knights struggle with armored dragons, and this village has 0 veterans. Normal weapons want to even scratch them. Magic works, but only Esbada and the adventurer's daughter can fight. The rest are out gathering materials. Even without a mage, a heavy knight could tank and strike his weak point. But these locals want to survive those brutal claws and tail. Hero orders everyone behind the ballistas to ready the bolts 559. Light as a dagger, it stood no chance against an armored dragon. He ordered everyone to obey Wang as the bandits scrambled for help. The dragons are endless. Even a major city couldn't stop 48-meter monsters using bandits as bait. Hero pities the robbers. He knows laughing at danger is the only way to find a solution. Van orders the Amethyst dragons to fire as the bandits hit the moat. Dai tells them, "Don to fear. Target the eyes and mouth to win." Today, Wang's men live. This victory is ours. Time to step up. Dragons shore, Schlick is for dinner. Panicked crowds bolt, gasping for air. A horde of armored dragons chase them, racing for the moat to hide. Bandits slide down the slope, one fugitive down. A monstrous claw snags his cloak. Screaming, he's hurled toward giant, toothy maws. The remaining robbers froze in terror. Even the fortress defenders shook with terror. The knight roared everyone, "Get ready." Arrows lock into the ballista. The bloodthirsty monsters finish their meal. Dee grips his weapon, realizing this fight is way tougher than he expected. The top bowstring signals it's ready. He screams to fire arrows, rain down on the dragons across the ditch, while people hide in the ravine's depths. The arrow streaks for the monster's head. Dragons howl in agony. An arrow craters the monster's massive skull. Stunned by the lightning, Knight realizes the arrow's vanished. The dragon's head already slumped aside. The dragons are bleeding. Confused, he spots an arrow already lodged in the monster. The armored dragon roars in agony, an arrow buried in its paw. Dragon frees his paw, leaving Dee stunned. The arrow pierced the knight's paw clean through. She fell into the rear dragoness paw, piercing it before sticking into the ground. Didn't he expect this many losses? Wang yells to the knight for a status update. A startled knight yells from the wall. 10 dragons wiped out. In one volley, the news left the residents thrilled. Dee panicked. They were out of ammo and had to scavenge arrows from the unused ballistas. Defenders scramble for arrows as he flashes back to solid wooden cubes. Recalling his past, the noble suggests wooden arrows over iron. Dee orders the final iron arrows, loaded ballistas cocked. The defenders aim at the enemy. The knights saw the tower guards ready. Dee knew they'd win. The second valley's aim was now perfect. Arrows rain on the dragons as the knight screams. They'll feel the village's true power. Over the monster's roars, he orders his men to open fire. The knight was stunned. Wooden arrows kept dropping dragons. I was stunned. Tougher than iron, but he still pierced the thick scales. He ordered wooden arrows. Certain the master was right, and iron was unnecessary. He ordered them to aim. D screams fire. The monsters are wiped out. D and the defenders stare at the scene in total shock. The knight roared with victory. The news leaves the MC and his maid reeling. Villagers roar for the win as Van's maid pulls him into a tearful hug. Watching the cheering crowd, he realized they'd crushed the enemy with 0 casualties and only 60 arrows of victory. Commander Stradiel would never believe. Smiling, he dismissed the impossible result. Turning to Stradiel, he saw Wang had clearly grown. As the hero celebrates with his friends, the knight admits it's hard to even imagine. Wang stepped up to die arms wide. Knight showed his master the results of their victory. Satisfied with the knight, he thanked D for making it happen. The hero scanned the field, baffled. Stunned, Wang counts 44 kills and praises his squad. Knight laughed, slapping the boy's back. He credits the nobleman, Spalaste, for the success. He's shocked. Wooden arrows are actually piercing steel scales. Dai praises the ballistas with a grin, slamming Wang's back so hard the terrified guy begs him to stop before he topples. Morning hits, and the hero finds 30 bandits still alive in the ditch. Survivors D totally forgot about. Suddenly, a rope drops to the terrified crowd. The knight orders them to tie each other up or face a rain of arrows. Terrified, they agreed instantly. The bandits beg Van for mercy, swearing they've changed. They plead not to be turned in, fearing slavery or prison. Mobbed by commoners, the noble weighs their plea to work for him. Suddenly, an old man steps forward. Elders claim these thugs keep raiding the village. A villager lunges from the crowd, grabbing a bandit's collar. He's fuming. How could they forget the parents and neighbors they slaughtered? Furious, he lunged to kill the thief, but a small hand stopped him cold. Wang catches the fist, apologizes, and tells him not to dirty his hands. He steps up and tells them to leave it to him. Tearing up, he agreed. He tells the bound crowd they're facing justice and will be hauled away the moment backup arrives. Wang concludes they'll serve the village for now. New recruits prep the dragons. Terrified, the robbers obeyed. Van and Orthos watched from the wall. Orthos noted the week's constant surprises, but Van just chuckled. Plurial spots, flawless, non-magical swords. The crew is stunned. Slaying even one dragon is a suicide mission. She realized even 30 men with Wang's elite blades could only handle 6 dragons max. We replied, act now while it's fresh. Next day, Otto, D. Kamson, and the villagers start butchering the carcasses. Wang swaps the knifest material, making it razor-sharp. Every team finished in 3 days. Next night, the noble addressed the crowd outside his manor, praising the village's progress. He sets the fires, securing the cash so they can finally feast on top-tier meat. Wang capped the sake at 2 glasses each, raising his mug to toast their massive victory. Residents toast their master's health, joined by the boys' friends. The crowd roared in victory, finally celebrating with drinks they hadn't tasted in ages. The MC loved the meat. Ortho loves the dragon meat. Van agrees. The dragon sellers tell the noble the meat stays tender thanks to its hard shell. Orthos confirmed the ballista arrows pack the same punch as Wang's weapons. Unaware the Lord armed the adventurers, the knights fuming he didn't get the sword. Adventurers loved their custom steel. Now, D and the villagers are swarming him with orders. He refused payment for the weapon. He's a loyal subject. Otto asks for gear too, and Van finally snaps, bolting away. The locals finally warmed up to him. Bandits surround Van, tending to him. The resident noticed the robbers acting weird. Despite the danger and a brutal future, he joined the hero as Sadaman lunged at a thief. Fist clenched, the villager thanked Wang for saving him from their fate. Determined to honor the dead, he rallied the village to build a better future. Fist raised, he goes for the meat. The elder and his kids, cheered by the fire, finally back to laughter and good food. She noticed even a noble was among them. Even the son gasped. Espada, Till, and Kamsen arrive to defend their master, calming the crowd as the girl realizes Master Wang is just getting started. Villagers feast by the fire, while Ortho prices the dragon at 20 gold coins. Van's stunned by the payout, but after expenses, each monster nets 8 gold. The noble was satisfied with 40 dragons. He'd rake in over 300 coins. Converted to yen, 300 million leaves him absolutely floored. The butler praised Van's defense. Van thanked him, sharing meat for his help with the barrier. The butler's hyped. Great result, but there's a catch. The official drops a bombshell. A 50 tax for the Marquis Van is livid. Taxes followed him to this world, and he's losing it. He begged the butler to hide the win, but the massive numbers made it impossible. Van's fuming, then it hits him. The nobles panicked, fearing the village's secret would leak. Wong knew hiding it was impossible until a sudden idea struck. He knew no one served the Marquis with more devotion than Espada had for decades. Hiding the truth felt like betraying his father. The hero hesitated, but since the butler chose peace with him over his father, he decides to trust him and find a way. Espada suggests, alerting the hero's older brother. Wong repeated the idea, weighing the proposal. He realized the butler's genius plan. Marsha takes the credit for the dragons. The noble's plan ambushed the herd in the woods and picked them off one by one. The boy agreed. It was a win-win. Marcia backs Van to win this clash against his brother. He stared at the spotter in total awe. He praised the butler's idea. Next morning, the residents greeted their master with a smile. The crowd thanked him, and he realized they'd finally turned kind. A man demands Till's hand. Van's maid fumes with embarrassment, but the master just smiles. The boy turns serious and grabs her hand. Surprised, the maid smiles, realizing it's been ages since Mr. Wang held her, and asks if he wants affection. Frowning acted like an adult at the bathhouse, but at 8, he should have used his kid privileges. Kamsen followed, leaving the crowd moved. Van drops her hand. She gasps. The maid's confused why he spared her, but the noble knows he's a milord. Affection matters, but dignity is everything. Van feared Till would eventually leave him. Her happiness comes first. He turns to the maid. The aristocrat starts talking about a man catching her eye, but she cuts him off. Hand on heart, she admits she never even thought about it. She just wants to care for Vanya and stay by his side. Embarrassed, the hero grabs Till's hand again. Kamsen and the girl head up the stairs when a voice stops them. A defender spotted the traitors. The boy peeks over the wall as the man identifies them. Mr. Bell and Mr. Lango. He's shocked by the defender's range. He can barely see their shapes, let alone their faces. Van's allies stared into the distance, looking just as puzzled. Aristocrats order the bridge raised and ballistas prepped. He warns of bandits lurking in the wagon, insisting skepticism is the only way to save the village. He ordered his crew to summon Ortho and die. Wang had work to do and every chance to seize. He shouted that his moment had finally arrived. The cart creaks across the field. 2 guarded carts approach the village as the driver realizes they're in deep trouble. A passenger adds that the cart's wrecked, the goods are ruined, and repair, lodging, and convoy costs are stacking up. The man admits they're broke after Hashimura and can't restock. The driver bursts into tears, screaming about the massive shortage. A writer calls to the sobbing man, asking if he's Hashimura. The carts stop at a massive gate. The writer realizes the scale is far too big for a village. Stunned, he looks and nods. The writer thinks they're lost, but the driver disagrees until he sees the village's massive upgrades. Suddenly, a voice from the wall yells, "Traders!" A massive fortress towered before the visitors. Wang drops from the tower, claims the village, and demands they prove they're merchants. Shocked, he tells his brother this is Marquis Ferchio's fourth son, the rumored child prodigy. Baldy's stunned. The brother explains their stronghold is the biggest city, making the rider a famous face they've seen everywhere. The merchant confirmed it. This was the child. A kid under 10 owns this wasteland. Geniuses are shunned, but the Marquis exiled him to the border. Now I'm building a fortress here with no idea why. The driver introduces the crew merchant, Mary Bell, his brother Lango, and their guard Ear, B-rank leader of the Silver Spear group. MC asks Otto if he knows the man. Otto confirms they've met. The noble lets them in Gates lift, and the merchants roll through. The Amaz brothers find the village upgraded, and the elders been waiting. Rhonda welcomes the guests back, while Mary Bell celebrates the village's safety. The group apologizes for the delay after being stopped mid-trip. Wayne approached the merchants, apologizing for the wait. Hand on chest, he bowed again and introduced himself. The brothers nervously introduce themselves, but the MC cuts to the chase. He needs to sell those dragon parts and the shell ASAP. The merchants agree instantly, shocked to tame beasts that even pro-adventurers fear. The brothers thanked God for the village's rare gift. Realizing they were wrong about the shortage, Van led the merchants straight to the warehouse. A shocked sigh pierces the dark warehouse. A room 10 times their size opens up, packed to the brim. The brothers are stunned. Lango clocks 30-meter dragon armor slabs while his brother watches in stunned silence. Wong breaks down the product and asks the merchant a take. The cart's ready and Bell's floored by the massive haul. The noble was right. They need to lure in traders immediately. One brother checks the goods, while the other buys a month's time. The noble agrees and offers them a taste of meat. Mary Bell realized they had too much meat. It had rot before the village could finish it. The merchant pays for the meat and heads to the next village to sell it. He doubted this village could even afford dragon meat. Mary says taxes bled the village dry, leaving them starving. The man realizes their own supplies are running out fast. Hoping free meat helps, the merchant asks Van for the green light. Moved by Mary Bell's sincerity, the nobleman gives the dragon meat away for free. Proving profit isn't his top priority. Bell tells the MC they need a mount. Realizing the rumors were right, the Marquis' son is sharp. The merchant offers a bounty for the criminals, knowing it'll wipe out his profit. He accepted the pay, but the noble invited them back for a deal they wouldn't regret. Bell's stunned by the high-quality armor deal. Mary stops the departing van, shocked he brought a blacksmith alongside the master draftsman and carpenter. He doesn't answer, just flashes a smile. Eyre and Mary Bell shout in sync. Amazing. The noble presents his weapons, admitting he hasn't mastered them. But they're priceless, and he's letting the group test them. Otho tells the adventurer to slice dragon skin with a shell. His weapon slices right through it. Ear slices through, effortlessly. Otho's stunned. It's only iron. Blown away by the edge, the guard buys it instantly and asks for a spear next. Otho hyped Eru's gear to a stunned Mary Bell. The merchant was sold. He's buying them at full price. Seeing the massive gear pile, he apologizes for the cost, but the MC says they'll grab it later. The boys showed the traders the village's new upgrades. The brothers gorge on meat by the fire as Bell stares, enchanted by the view. Mary recruits more merchants from the trade group, and Van's totally on board. MC lists the village's needs, knowing good food keeps spirits high, and the merchant agrees to deliver. The noble orders a weapon ad, and the brothers are hyped. He figured they wanted an exclusive deal. These guys were all right. Wong says trading weapons along this route will lead them straight to the village. He tells the brothers to plan their ads ahead. More sales means more cash. The merchants were hooked. shouting to learn the secret. The aristocrat insists they need a village shop. Wang wants to strike a deal with the owners, and the brothers are hyped. With steady pay and his own shop, the boy vows to build Lango a house. The brothers are thrilled. He agrees to skip the merchant haggling and lock down the area's first shop. Wang saw the win-win. Mary turned to Lengo, ready to pitch the deal to his boss immediately. Hand on heart, the merchant vows to keep his shop here until the village is fully built. The aristocrat and merchant shake hands. Wang shook hands with the brothers, sealing the deal. Negotiations were a total success. Lengo and his crew bolt to the Chamber of Commerce to secure labor and supplies for the village. Wang hands over his sword, dragon skin, and magic core to sway the chamber. He also sends a letter to his brother Marsha. Near the village entrance, the boy pulls a move that stuns Mary. The aristocrat built Belle a beautiful shop. Shocked by the instant build, the merchant listens as Wang explains the shop's layout. He followed Mary's instructions, offering to redo any mistakes. Belle was stunned by his insane power. The merchant tearfully thanks. The noble Havan sets a 2-week deadline, wrapping up Belle's shop business for now. Afternoon hits, and the noble's group heads for the river. Till walks beside him, worried her master is exhausted. He tells the worried maid he's fine, and asks how she's doing. She just smiles, saying she's ready to go. Kamsin stalked forward, effortlessly slicing through the overgrowth. He clocks his gentlemanly behavior. Wang was frustrated. He wanted to look kind, but lacked the strength to help Kamsin. An hour later, Kamsin parts the grass, letting the exhausted travelers lead. The group finds a massive river to restock their water. He picked the spot and touched it. They dig a ditch and dam the river, forcing the water level down. Espada instantly tunnels tens of meters deep. Butler's resting. D enters and the crew smashes through. Trailing the group, he fortifies the earth and walls. He's floored by Espada's massive mana when suddenly D makes a sound. Night falls and he starts laughing, leaving the boy confused. D's over 40, but in his prime, the aristocrat's stunned and the guys are hyped. Till warns the river it's a brutal haul, but Van knows they need that water. The work is brutal, but he loves the team grind, realizing shared victory brings a satisfaction you just can't find alone. Better living conditions would normalize the village and attract more traders. The noble knew he had to pull this off to keep his easy life. 8 hours later, a worker spots the village van stunned. This was supposed to take a week. He announces work is over for the day. Espada and D are stunned. The knight says the village is hours away, but the nobles shut it down. He pointed to Abe, Lowe, and Kamsin. They were totally spent and couldn't keep going. Disappointed, he thought he'd finally found a way to temper, but knew he shouldn't overwork himself. Wang was stunned by the knight's endurance. These powers terrified him. He stared, terrified. Today proved the old guard's hidden power. Next morning, they shocked everyone by reaching the village early. Digging finished now to drain the water. Clearing his throat, the boy thanked the crowd and announced the water system was finished. Tearful Abba, Lou, and a fired-up Kamsin listen as the MC thanks them for surviving their brutal 36-hour struggle. Wang signaled it's time. The noble shouts the discovery just as the wall suddenly bursts. Water floods the moat at breathtaking speed. The boy was stunned as the crowd erupted in cheers. Resting, they watched the current and realized its speed. Villagers stare in awe as river water rushes in. Kids racing the current down the ditch, completely stunned. The elder celebrates the shortcut, but Van insists they need filtration gear, leaving Rhonda skeptical. A helper hands him the medal, eyes gleaming with pure admiration. He stood there blushing, leaving the confused noble demanding an explanation. Lowe replied, curious to see what the gentleman would build. Wang's remembered the kid's joy after finishing He's clearly hooked on the process. The smiling boy offers to build the device together. He needs help, and Lo instantly cheers up and agrees. Wang explains the device: filter, copper reservoir, and boiler. MC worries about the boiler fire, so Till suggests a fire magic crystal. The aristocrat loves the idea and asks Belle if she has one for sale. Kamsen rushes Wang. The room is flooded. He admired the overflowing ditch. A bridge was already waiting. He asks the spotter about the rising water, fearing a flood. The butler confirmed he was right. The old man explains they widen the canal and build levees in flood zones to manage the water flow. The spotter notes dead ends take skill, and Wang adds the water gets trapped. The noble suggests they either divert the river back or build a lake behind the village. Dvoretsky loved the lake, a vital backup for when the river runs dry. Satisfied with the plan, he double-checks with his spotter, and the old man gives the green light. The plan: build a lake 200 meters behind the village before the rains hit. 3 days later, the lake's done. The noble wants a water outlet, but he's still planning how to use it. Wang brushed it off, soaking in the massive supply of clean water. The annoyed kid realized it was still early morning. The sun wasn't even up yet. Disheveled, Till frantically brushes the noble's hair as Rhonda and the crowd watch in worry. Meanwhile, Van scrambles to button his shirt. The elder and the villagers triggered the early awakening. She tosses the boy a cloak, reporting Dee and Espada are en route. He asks where. They still claim they're heading to the new Lake Van. The name confused the boy. The maid reveals the lake honors the Maritzes, preserved as a legacy for future generations. She reveals the village is now called Van, but the noble cuts her off, sensing something's wrong. A local rushed the man. The man bolted, leaving the kid fuming. Wang, Till, and Kamsen race to the lake. Done running, the MC builds a passage from the other side. The crowd stared at the lake. The noble demands answers, as the shocked crowd points to the lake. Something just surfaced. A mermaid-like creature bursts from the depths. Stunned and confused, Wang asks what it is. Deep in the forest rivers live mystical creatures with striking blue hair. Meet the Abgaloo, half-human, half-mermaid hybrids. He's never heard of them, so Espada explains they're incredibly rare. Van asks if she's an Abgaloo, while a half-mermaid watches from the depths. The noble wonders if she's still a kid, then calls from the shore to ask her name. Silence, then a response. Realizing she doesn't get it, the boy orders Till and Kamsen to fetch meat and fruit. They rush to obey. To prove he's friendly, he needs food first. Suddenly, the creature in the water twitches. Abgala slowly closes in on Van. The locals are stunned. The aristocrat's guards stood ready. She swims to shore, sniffs the food, and hesitantly asks for a bite. The boy's loud shock terrified the girl. Agala retreats instantly. He rushes to apologize and begs her to return, stunned by her insane speed. Van offers meat and fruit, and she accepts. Gotta catch the meat's flavor. Tasting the meat, she snaps toward the noble-esque guards, demanding answers. Diet's shocked gaze catches Arthur off guard. He offers her shelled dragon meat, but she freezes, demanding to know who caught it. Adventurer, knight, and butler all shout, "It's Mr. Wang." He credited the ballastai, but the locals backed the master's men instead. Wang finally recognized his worth. She eyes him, meat in hand. The Abgola understood. A splash blinds the noble as the girl swims away. This left the MC and the locals completely baffled. The boy sat stunned on the shore, while the crowd wondered what just happened. Tilly's screams jolt the MC awake. She apologizes, explaining the villagers reported the attack and everyone's panicking. Wine wakes up and asks about the attack again. The maid preps her master, while reporting the enemy has seized the water channel. Unsettled by their proximity, he hopes the ballistas can scare them off. But he knows one. He hated his stolen hours of rest. He slammed the doors open, fuming with rage and swearing he'd never forgive them. Defenders on the wall braced for the coming battle. Abgolas poked through the water. The kids stared at the fortress, dead serious. D and Lo draw their blades. The Abgalas weren't leaving. They were on edge. The ballista crews were hyped. Wang searched for answers. Was the shell dragon their god? Yesterday, just a child. Today, people of all ages. The Upgull calls him out. A muscular king approaches, wanting a word with the boy. The sea monster's gaze stops him cold. The noble hired muscle for safety. Suddenly, a merchant approached. Mary Bell hyped the Abgalu's rare materials, calling the trade a massive gold mine. The man eagerly asked for a closer look, and Van let him tag along. He led his people down to the Abgali. The man calls to thank them for his daughter. The boy asks if he means the girl from yesterday. The Abgol roared that Van killed the dragon, and the boy was hyped. He was certain it was him, stunning the Abgala behind him. The sea creatures are stunned, watching his team. The noble realizes this atmosphere finally revealed their true strength. Gala's chief admits the hero is brave. He finally approved Van and Lada Priola's marriage. The kids stunned. He demanded an answer again, outraged. Wang snapped and explained everything. Turns out, Abgala is Vesta, Priolus's father. He praises her beauty, baffled by the MC's rejection. The noble asks where she is, and Vesta points her out. The girl was just playing with friends. He calls her a clueless kid and asks when marriage even entered the picture. Vesta reveals Lada's family never contacted humans before. Recently, shell dragons claimed their river, slaughtering many of their comrades. The father S, hunting for a strong groom to secure his family's peace. Van realizes safety requires a political marriage. He knows the noble game, but promises Vesta that Priola can choose her own husband later. He vows protection regardless, leaving the leader stunned and deep in thought. The Abgali chief moved next to the groom and claimed the reservoir. Wang moved them to the back lake bridges to avoid scaring the guests. Stunned, the boy realizes Vesta just called him her fiancé. He screams at the fleeing sea creatures that he never agreed to the marriage. Puyola waves goodbye, shouting they'll meet again, while the noble keeps denying he's the groom. A merchant approaches, asking for rare materials. Wang accepts the deal. Spada notes the protagonist's lucky bond with the Abgalu, but there's a catch. The butler's floored that Wang's bride is an Abgalu, a move no spotter could predict, while the boy just sighs weirdly. Till hesitated. If this was her master's choice, she couldn't have finished the sentence. The old man realized it, refusal or not, Van's rebellion failed. Sea creatures rested on the lake. Adults lounged on the shore, while kids splashed in the water. Devastated his lake is occupied, he wonders if he should keep watch. As the owner, the aristocrat built 2 boathouse-style buildings for recreation. Sea creatures loved these houses. Van's thrilled the place is booming, but Espada notes these buildings are unheard of in Scuderia. The old man realized the boy knew things even he didn't, noting his hidden growth before pushing him straight to the next stage. The aristocrat builds a gate and drawbridge in his backyard. Locals started bonding and sharing food with the Abgalu. Sea creatures traded oars, which they brought straight to Bell. He's hyped to finally make contact. Wang builds a second wall, securing the village and protecting the sea creatures. In the office, the butler suggests walls for 10,000 people. The boy hesitates, but Spada warns that's not enough for their exploding village. The old man warns walls need massive security, so the butler suggests building a compact city to house the guards. The noble loved village life and capped his offer at 2,000. I protested instantly. He insisted on planning ahead to save time. Wang knew the butler was stubborn and just sighed. Despite his father's warning, Espada refuses to back down. The old man clocks the length at 600 meters, terrifying our hero who only wanted 10 meters of height, and now he has to build it all. Short on men, the butler delays the fortress for a basic wall, and the boy hates it. Wayne's ditching square walls to fortify the city. Esparta doubted the plan, picturing a basic round city, so the man sketched it out to prove him wrong. He actually meant a star-shaped city. Break the triangle, and you're still locked out. It's 6 independent fortresses. Roofs link to the walls, but detach via drawbridges. Wang's plan: pick off the corners first. The moment they strike, they're hit from 3 directions. He uses modern Earth defenses built for the age of guns. I didn't make this decision lightly. The butler praised his form's potential, but a sudden knock at the door broke the boy's focus. A defender bursts through the door. Van demands to know what happened, but Iber corrects him. It's not a what, it's a who. Count Ferdinand's messenger arrives, catching the boy by surprise. Another man leans in, spotting more than just Count Ferdinand's crest. A unicorn flag and Viscount Cayenne's shield. The Count faction is here. Low counts 3 wagons and 100 soldiers. He asks if this is the village's original count. The man confirms it. They thought he was back to retake the village. Silence fell as the shock set in. Wheels clatter across the clearing. She steps from her carriage, eyes the fortress, and realizes the rumors about the child prodigy are all too real. The stranger steps up to test the genius herself. Surprise guests arrive: a shy girl and a bold noblewoman. The cart nears the village. Hearing they're close, the girl starts trembling. The woman patted her head, promising to stay by her side. She reluctantly agreed. Scanning the mansion, she warns they need to scout the enemy first. Wang's rushing to get ready when the Count's messengers suddenly arrive. The crew scrambled for the guests' arrival. Till served snacks and tea, and the boy thanked her. A knock hits the door. The noble braces for whatever's coming and lets them in. The door creaks open. A timid girl steps into the doorway. A woman strutted in behind her. Wang's stunned. He expected grown men, but these 2 girls are a nightmare matchup for a boy. He spots a kid, but knows no ordinary child would be sent as a messenger. The noble politely greets the guests. Panamera introduces herself as the new Viscount, Carrera Cayenne, leaving the boy stunned by her American dream beauty. Panamera smirked, declaring her place in the Parvania of chivalry. She nervously introduces herself as Count Ferdinand's youngest daughter. Curtsying explains the visit: Marquis Fertio is in town, and her father wants them to greet him. Wang was shocked. Ferdinand sent his youngest daughter. He mistook Panamera for an escort, earning him a lethal glare. Terrified, the noble babbled pleasantries and offered them a seat. As guests sit, the boy knows jumping from knight to viscount in one generation is nearly impossible. He marks the girl as a sharp power player, but then she speaks, sizing him up. Panamera noted the MC was younger but more disciplined, then grilled the noble on their visit's purpose. He noted their bluntness. They were clearly digging for his true motives. Van figures the Count is bitter, yet fearful after losing land. Suspecting a surprise border attack, Ferdinand sent a veteran warrior and his daughter. Now, Van gives the messenger his answer. Van calls it, they're here to size up the enemy and cut a deal. Panama laughed, shocked. A 10-year-old saw right to the root of the problem. She confirmed his theories were dead on. Panamera's bluntness shames her companions as she reveals Van's name topped the air search for years. Yet the boy genius never had his awakening ceremony after the magic test. The vicar doubted it was elemental magic, but she still couldn't fathom why an aristocrat was ruling such a useless, empty wasteland. Panama says Wang's a rumored prodigy, since landowners usually need education to develop their territory. The envoy reveals the Count's suspicion. Why give him land bordering Ferdinand and Jarnet? She finished sternly, hunting for the noble true motives. Noble feuds are illegal, and bluntness is a crime. So Wang knows they're baiting him. He stops hiding the truth and admits he can't use elemental magic. The noble calmly dismissed their fears, claiming he was just sent away. Panama eyed them with pure distrust. The messenger doubted him, calling the move pure madness. The V-Cowl probes the child prodigy rumors, but Van is completely clueless. Penamara heard it was just a 100-hut village. In just 2 months, he raised a massive fortress and rebuilt everything with legendary materials. She also noted a veteran butler and a master knight. Checking the route, the Viscount saw her shaking with excitement. She grabbed her hand to calm her and made a suggestion. Panima counts 5,000 subordinates, leaving the boy stunned. The Viscount warned their stealth tech was a major threat, but she knew Van exposed himself on purpose. The noble recoiled in shock. She waited for his answer. The border's becoming a military base, and the MC struggles to stifle a laugh. Wang realized his instant eviction looked suspicious. He fought back a laugh as the girls stared, waiting for an explanation. Panamera turns serious, missing the joke. Sensing danger, the boys' guards draw their blades. The noble laughs innocently. He laughs and apologizes, breaking the tension. The Viscount is stunned, but D stays ready, hand on his sword. Wang cools down and apologizes to clear the air, but Panamera isn't buying his misunderstanding excuse. The noble only brought Kamsina and 1 carriage of gear, while the guard stood ready, hand on his sword. His family didn't even say goodbye. Ordered to vanish in secret, he leaves, Root stunned. She questioned the knights and servants, her likely subordinates. Wang tries to explain, but Dai cuts him off, claiming they followed the Master's genius by choice. The Viscount stared, searching for the truth. Knight laughed, admitting he ignored the order's recall letter. The hero joined in, but Tensley wondered if D would be expelled. A spotter speaks up, revealing he's an old man. The butler uses the boy's departure to retire and dump his knowledge on the master, who finds the whole thing a massive pain. He treats commoners like equals, and his kindness makes her vow to serve him forever. Wang smiles sheepishly, thanking them for following the exiles into the middle of nowhere just to stay close. She's calmed down, but the village's transformation still bugs her. How would a noble explain this? The boy stands, vowing to see it all firsthand. Panamera asks where he's headed. He heads out to build a new fortress wall, leaving the messenger terrified. He steps out, stunned by the endless nights. The Viscount commands her people. Shocked locals flood the streets as mysterious knights march past. MC orders the workers to bring wooden blocks. They marched out the gate in formation on command. Suddenly, the boy spots Panamera stepping forward. The stern woman demanded their destination. The prodigy turns, figuring she expects an ambush. Van asks the spotter if they've arrived. The butler confirms, but warns the corners are further out. MC requests a 2-meter wall for future tweaks, and the old man agrees. He announces they're building a fortress wall, stunning the girls until a sudden noise erupts. A spada shifted the stone, making the noise. Arut and the Viscount are stunned. Piedema is floored. The old man is a retired first-class 4-element magician. As he touches the stone, she realizes that without magic, the wall should crumble, but her thought is cut short. Wang unleashes his magic, visualizing every material inside the wall. He wants perfect concrete, but lacking materials, he settles for a temporary fix as the wall goes up. Panamera had no clue how he pulled it off. Carts of wooden blocks arrive. She asks if they're for building houses, and Van confirms it. Ignoring her shock, the noble explains first, visualize the gate's shape and strength, then apply the metal coating. The envoys and their crew gape at the noble's work in awe. Through the thick fog, he shouts, "He's finished." His cloak whipped in the wind. Fog clears, revealing a boy before a massive gate. He smiled at his guests, confirming the truth. Her knights stood stunned. Arut excitedly asked Van about his magic. Pinamera had questions too. The Viscount furiously demanded his name. Smiling, he admits he's stuck with production magic. He can only create things. The noble calls this magic total trash. It only works on a tree root. One calling his magic useless impressed Arut. Plushies and dolls piled high. Neglected by her busy dad and cold mother, she was dumped on a nanny. Arut was obviously worthless. Timid, picky, and failing school, she started with zero talent. Her only talent, doll-making magic. She was no dancer, but she controlled the doll more freely than her own body. She used this power to make her mother proud. Arut honed her magic to win her parents' approval. She dreamed of dancing with a doll her size, but things didn't go as she expected. Her mum slaps her, screaming she's a talentless child. Her mum yanked her hair, making her scream in pain, clueless about what she'd done wrong. Mum kicked her out, and she finally learned why high society hates puppetry magic, calling it a vicious art. She wept as her last hope, magic, failed her. Abandoned by everyone, even her mother Arut locked herself away, wasting her days in her room with only her toys for company. Ferdinand's daughter spiraled into despair, cursing her own uselessness. Her mother's cruel words break her over and over. She screamed in total despair. At 10, her father finally summons her. Arut's tense. It's been years, and Ferdinand and Pinamera confirm it from the council office. The Count questions Ferdinand's choice, demanding they just summon the commoner while his daughter watches nervously. Arut wondered who this woman was. Pinamera understood their return depended on the other side. The Viscount turns to Ferdinand's daughter. Pinamera leans in, introduces herself, and asks Arut about her future marriage. Arut shrinks back, confused. Tearing up, she explains she was kept in the dark. The Viki demands a capable groom for the marriage. Harupe gives up, feeling she's no longer needed. She thought she was kicked out for being useless. She protests. Panamera's the last one single. All her siblings are already married. The Viscount ruffles her hair with a smile, saying she'll be lucky if the man is decent. Stunned, the girl is left speechless. Dan's daughter remembered that powerful, gentle hand. Seeing her joyful, blushing smile, she knew she'd finally found someone who truly cared. Harud's 3-day carriage ride was the happiest time of her life, even if Mrs. Panamera was kind but easily angered. The Viscount was aggressive but stayed kind. Whenever the girl calls herself worthless, the lady lectures her and pulls her into a tight hug. Panamera often stroked her head while chatting with Arut. She bursts into happy tears. But the Viscount isn't mad, he just strokes her head again. She squeezed Mrs. Panama's hands, realizing just how much she loved them. Smiling, she held the Viscount's hand. It felt gentle, warm, and magical. She was just kidding. Approaching the village, she rejected marriage, choosing to stay by Panamera's side forever. She kept her distance, watching him like a total stranger. Arut realized Van was special. He was her total opposite. This noble's confidence and loyal squad stunned her. Younger, but gifted and confident, Arut knew he'd smash his parents' expectations. She questioned his luck until he revealed the truth about his parents. She realized he was treated just like her, but couldn't see the difference. Watching and hearing Van, Aruti's heart begins to shift. She grew fascinated by the boy. If she hadn't quit training because of her mum, she'd be just like Van. Ferdinand's daughter steels herself and makes her choice. Arut eyes the gate and joins the fray, while the Viscount brands them a lethal threat. Panamera worried about the boy's bases and the Marquis's greed, but the nobleman revealed his father was clueless. He'd exiled the boy the second he saw his magic. The Viscount saw a chance to expand his influence, but she realized she had underestimated industrial magic's true potential. He delayed the trip to keep building the wall tomorrow. She agreed. Heading back, Panamera grilled Van about his powers and magic. She answered she understood, but she didn't agree with everything. He grinned, certain the misunderstanding was finally settled. The Viscount proposes marriage to Ruth, revealing the girl is a peace offering to end the feud, while the noble admits the land is defenseless against magic beasts. Wang's strengthening the village for security, not rivalry, so he's scrapping the arranged marriage. Panamera knew the village would thrive, but her sights were now set on something much bigger. Now she's eyeing the MC too. The Viscount worried for Harut and opposed the marriage. Pomarest warns she's being forced to marry into a hostile noble family. Her groom is a young, exiled border lord, and the woman knows Haru will be miserable. Van confirms the Viscount's theory, listing every disaster the boy fears for the man's daughter nearby. Panama realized this was why she was traveling to stop the girl's marriage. Hearing her story, the noble finally saw why her path was always so dark. He wondered what she felt. Wang thinks he understands her, but she smirks and says her mood has shifted. Panamera wants Harude happy, so she backs her marriage to Van. The Viscountess lists his strengths, leaving the boy stunned. She singled out his power. Panamera admits she'd marry him if they were the same age, leaving the noble stunned. Wang's flustered, but he's loving the praise. Panamera's won over, and Van wants more, but he keeps his poker face on lock. Viscount turns to Haruti for her take. The woman let the girl choose Ferdinand's daughter, froze, speechless. Tearing up, she admits Wang's a good man, but she's still not sure. Worried, he rejects the marriage, but agrees to stay, realizing the kid is way too young to understand what they are asking. The aristocrat tells her it's a massive choice. Take your time. Panamera couldn't understand why Van refused, sizing him up. She warns Wang his rare power makes him a target for other nations. He needs to fortify his land fast. He asks how the marriage helps. Panamera promises Count Ferdinand's backing and her own. Smiling, the Viscountess claims the marriage stops Ferdinand's knights from attacking. The boy smells a trap, certain the whole thing is a hoax. Wang weighed the deal and saw zero gain for the Count. He saw no value in the man. Panamera grinned. The tables had turned. She stays the night, giving him a day to decide if anything happens, he can reach her or her route. The shocked aristocrat asks again, but Panamera just snorts. She laughs, finally seeing the real him. He's way better this way. Vi says he never looked like a kid. Van asks if her soldiers will stop too. She plays the fragile woman card to bring her guards into enemy territory. But the MC knows Panamera is actually one of the strongest warriors alive. She suggests they move into Van's mansion permanently, leaving the girl totally flustered. Ferdinand's daughter is horrified to share a bed, and our MC is just as tense. He's stunned. A 10-year-old is already this prepared for such a massive decision. As she dies of embarrassment, Panama lets Arut move in and asks if his mansion has extra rooms. Wang tells them not to worry and starts building the inn immediately. The woman laughs and thanks him. The noble builds a hotel for his envoys, catching the guests completely off guard. He crafted rooms for the soldiers too, and they were stoked. They invite the girls to dinner, leaving the envoys to rest at the house. Till was perfect for the scaly wolf meat, so Van accepted. Otto and his Lulai hunt local monsters. Scaly wolves just appeared, and Mary Bell is thrilled. The maid vows to cook a feast for his marriage to Mrs. Harute, shocking the boy with her total support. She admitted it, she was definitely sad. Despite her feelings, she'd serve them just to be his foundation. He's stunned. Till knew a kind mistress would make life easier, but the girl's perfection left Van totally dazed. Kamson doesn't hate the girl, but he wants a powerhouse like Panamera to protect the young noble. The MC is stunned. Turns out Kamson has a thing for strong-willed women. The spider believes the Viscount, but the Count sees the marriage as worthless. His daughter clearly lacks 4-element magic. Wang saw the butler struggle to admit her root was kicked out, just like him. Panamera might respect the hero's power, but marrying Ferdinand's daughter changes everything. Van realized marriage gives the nobles access, exposing their ballistas and weapons, plus they can forget the Abgalu. The butler warns the hero to face his father, since the Ferdinand deal failed. If the Marquis cuts ties, Wang asks, the big question, is his father planning to invade the Count's territory? Scuderia's decade of expansion has neighbors terrified, making internal peace the king's top priority. The boy asks if it's possible, so I break down the methods. The old man reveals the many paths, and Van is hyped. Now, she's focusing entirely on the root's will. No matter what, he respects her choice. The noble realized they hadn't talked yet. As evening fell, he planned to catch up over dinner. The crew sits for dinner. He turns to Root, asking how she likes the food. MC realizes more ingredients means they can finally make sweets. She's totally flustered just because he spoke to her. Blushing, she finally admits the food is actually delicious. Till beamed at the praise for our cooking. She's improving, but her inexperience causes a stutter that leaves her ashamed. The boy didn't look down on her. Panamera saw it too. Root was stunned to meet someone like this. Van asks what she likes. She hesitates, then admits she loves cute things. The noble claimed she loved small animals. Root loves dolls, but only likes animals that don't move. He noticed there were still no dolls. MC asks to see them next time. Surprised, she agrees. Root spotted. Wang's composure stunned her. He was way too calm for his age. Relieved he's not rushing, she promises to bring the dolls tomorrow. He thanks her with a smile, locking in her Root. A strange joy surged through her. Panamera spots the shift. Her Root's mortified as the Viscount grins at her. The aristocrat kept talking. She warmed up to Van, eager to keep the conversation going. But her insecurities still haunted her. She'd ask for it herself at dinner. Her hesitation annoyed the girl. After dinner, Panamera tells the MC the village is peaceful. She loved the food. The Viscount notices the residents respect the aristocrat. The boy had to agree. Panamera's shocked by his modesty. She'd have bragged to get famous outside the village. Wang claims the residents supplied the gear, he just made it work. The noble says it's too early for pride, they need 1,000 people first. She laughs, promising to wait for that milestone. She switches routes. The Viscount waves the boy goodbye. A Root froze awkwardly before Van. He figured she had something to say. He confirmed it with her. 5 minutes pass, and she's still speechless. She's panicking, and the boy is completely lost. A Root stumbled, trying to speak. She spills her guts, thanking the noble and admitting her nerves. He's her potential fiancé. Van's kindness finally let her breathe a sigh of relief. She wished him good night and bolted, blushing. The dazed noble figured he'd nailed it. Sprinting down the street, she realized she'd rushed her final words. She blamed herself for not listening as the stunned crowd cleared a path for her escape. She's worried Mr. Wang thinks she's a weirdo. Aru sprints to the hotel, but she has no clue where her room is. Panamera's soldier escorts Ferdinand's hyped daughter. Exhausted, they finally reach the room. She walks in and catches Panamera naked, dying of embarrassment. The girl couldn't ignore the woman's stunning beauty. Sitting by the road, the Viscount asks what happened after she left, and if she has an answer. Ferdinand's daughter was mortified. Panamera looks at her tenderly, asking her to stay a few more days. She explains everything while the girl processes. A Root blushed. Post-bath, she decides to face Mr. Wang alone tomorrow. She figured the aristocrat would listen. For the first time in ages, Fernand's daughter looked forward to tomorrow. Next day, he's already commanding the fortress wall construction. He warns everyone to stay sharp, hoping they'll make it through okay. Wang says, Team Dai needs fresh laborers. He spots something. Auto's adventurers crashed the morning ceremony. The noble asks his plan, but he just smiles. He's only here for the show. Orpho notices the residents lining up like soldiers. Hunting again, they praise their gear. Wang promises more swords if they bring the materials. MC thanked the team and promised a massive BBQ. Everyone's hyped for the barbecue. The aristocrats saw quiet locals turn into party animals. Panamera shows up, calling it a perfect spirit lifter. Stepping down, the boy greets them and grants their freedom. He shared another trick to motivate her. Arut joins the Vi account and the aristocrat. The girl beamed at Van, hyped. Our MC felt the awkwardness. Root greets the boy, and he responds kindly. Ferdinand's daughter begged for a talk, and the noble backed her up. Van's stunned by her non-stop chatter. She's plotting to see the world through Mr. Wang's eyes. She asks to watch him work. At the water supply, Panamera asks what they do besides building walls. He says he's cleaning the drain, leaving her confused, while a boy in Kamsan leans over the water. He explains the pipeline, warning that filth will trigger a deadly plague. He explains the water always returns to the river. Suddenly, a tail flashes in the water. Two young Abgalu swim up, offering to ferry the water. The messengers were stunned. Panamera questions the sea creature's presence, while Arut sees them for the first time. The Abgalu kids cheer for the lady as Priola once again claims she's Van's bride. He cringed at those words. The girls are shocked he's marrying an Abgawa, but the noble insists it's all a misunderstanding. MC reminds Priol again they aren't engaged. She swims away, offended, leaving the other kids horrified. The advance announcement crushed Lara. The noble bribed them with fruit again, silencing their protests. The boy tells the Abgali they're struggling to haul the waterproof slabs from the water. Sea creatures sprang into action. Later, the MC asks to shut them. The boys suggested doing this daily, and Wang jumped at the chance. Panamera asks about the Abgolas. The boy says they've joined the locals, then grabs his gear and heads for the new city walls. The Viscount labels them a ghost race, as Aruth brings up the Abgala. Construction's booming classic Sparta efficiency. Juan updates them on the construction's insane speed. He solved the corner problem instantly. The boy orders another wall, and a spotter takes note. The noble loved how the butler obeyed raw orders instantly. Wang weighed his next move. Penamara approaches, asking about the fortress. She stepped in with a solid plan. Ignoring the MC, the Viscount marches off with her soldiers. Arut lunges at him. He panics. Did they leave her alone? He asks, and she nods awkwardly. That aristocrat tried playing nice. Van showed Ferdinand's daughter the ballistas, and the massive weapon stunned her. He broke down its purpose and mechanics. They widened the walls and beefed up the ballistas. Hand-sized arrows lined up in 2 rows. Too scared to fail at something new, he plays it safe and builds a proven ballista. Time to shock them. The boy tests the weapon on Kamsan. Aiming the ballista, a volley of arrows shreds the forest, snapping trees like twigs. Staring off, the noble admits the hit was solid, shocking Till and Arut. Arut was stunned by the bout's insane power. Penamera rushes over, alerted by the noise. Van explains, leaving the Viscount stunned by the massive weapon. Penamora hatches a plan. She asked if the other wall had ballistas. The Viscount grilled them on their production and quantity. Wang felt like he was being interrogated. He apologizes, but stays silent. It's a military secret. That no set her off. Penamera orders ballistas. The noble rejects them again, but he'll cave if they prove they were allies. The Viscount struggled to find proof. This kid just never stopped surprising her. She looked back at her massive wins. Panamera noticed even timid Arut was finally stepping up, all thanks to Van. Analysis complete. She vows to be his equal partner. Proving she's serious, the Viscountess sends a letter to the capital immediately, shocking her soldiers. Panamera vows to rise among the nobility as Van's ally. If she betrays him, her status is dead. The nobles would be baffled. But with zero high society ties, this is his golden opportunity. He bowed and took the deal. Viscount's soldiers and Wang's confidants bow. Root scanned the area, searching for a plan. Embarrassed, she bows too, but he knows he doesn't have to bow back. She raises her hand, celebrating her first collab. She trades 100 soldiers for the ballista. 2 weeks of service, the men salute, ready for duty. She won to tolerate a single flaw when she returns. Wang saw massive potential in his trained crew. He broke down the transport plan. Kemson signals Till and tells the Viscount to take a master-crafted arrow, but she's clueless why. The boy hands her the MC's sword. Wang was hyped for his new blade and had already been discussing it with Panamera. MC wants to see more of Kemson after learning he admires Panamera. Panama saw swords fail against heavy armor, so Kemson grabbed a spare to test. She draws her backup blade. The Viscount's hyped even one chip would be a miracle. Kemson draws his blade, apologizing first. The boy strikes with a light touch. The blade's intact. Panamera figures his strike slipped. Suddenly, the sword splits in two. Half the Viscount's reserve snaps and plummets. The soldiers stared in total shock. She's guessing blindly, and Kemson is loving it. Wang drops the secret. It's the manufacturing, not the material. Panamera asks if the arrows match. He confirms they'll pierce 3 armored dragons. The Viscount and his men are stunned. They stared at the ballista, horrified. Panamera buys the arrows at any price. Van thanks her. Night hits. Drunk, happy locals swarm her, begging him to guard their master. She blushes as he calls her the perfect match for the MC. She cringed as the drunks argued. Wang claps his hands. He scattered the crowd, harassing the guests. The men laugh disrespectfully. Drunk idiots are the same everywhere. He banned seconds as punishment, and they were furious. The aristocrat invites the Embers to root for a meal. Till glared at the whining drunks behind them. The men went dead silent. Kemsil and Van debated the construction timeline. Root asks how much is done. MC says it's all finished, shocking her. The construction was all wrong. The royal capital took 3 years, but this was moving way too fast. The nobleman knew this work would take ages. Slaves and prisoners do the labor, while the elite mages are off at war. Even magic earth walls just end up as blocks. He had to finish building before Langle arrived. Aruto demands answers, sensing the man is a threat. The boy just smirks. He was dead set on catching him off guard. The adventure vanished fast. They're being tailed. Panamera's subordinates are actually useful. The wall's foundation couldn't keep up with Esparta's magic. They add the final touches. Dinner's over, and Esparta and D drag the MC off to study. In under 2 weeks, both fortress walls are finished. New double-barreled ballistas hit the field. Panamera notes they've already helped plenty. She lost count of Van's surprises. MC noted the Viscount's form, nearly blurting it out loud. He slammed his hand over his mouth. He reveals his next growth plans. Panamera envied the noble's land. It was her dream. She tells Van his next victory will score him free land. Suddenly, a crowd charges them. A rumble shakes the forest as the beast smashes through trees. Adventurers flee the forest, diving for cover. The dragon is right on top of them. Suddenly, a massive dragon charges the fortress. Panic spread. The adventurer stalls him, letting the others escape to the village. Wang weighed the right move. He sensed the danger, and the crowd was ready for war. Panamera steps in. The noble rallies, shouting for Ortho to return and strike with the ballistas. They barked orders. The Vicon IDs the forest dragon as the enemy and issues orders for Aruth. She's on edge. He caught Arut's fear. The boy cut the tension. He calmed her with weapons and warriors. The aristocrat saw Panamera was in on it. Van vows they won't lose as Arut cheers them on. He sends Till with the girl, and she obeys. Adventurers hit the gate, a raging dragon on their heels. When barked orders, realizing flying enemies are a nightmare to fight, target the wings to ground him. She felt it. The adventurers stare at her in shock. She screamed for them to run and forget her, ortho tensed. The adventurer baits the monster to buy plurial time. The dragon ignored them until they struck. Furious, he bolts after the man. Tearing up, he begs his comrades to run. The party listened. Kazaro was fuming over being abandoned. Trusting his speed, Ortho gives the order. Tearing up, he stayed outraged. Zara clashes with the boss, vowing to remind him Van hopes it's all just a game. MC orders them to aim and fire. He threatened to eat Zara if they slowed down, and the adventurer wasn't having it. Panamera claims she'll stop him. The Viscount readies his strike. Wang figured the Count picked this kid for a reason. He saw her power coming. A fire whirlwind erupts in the sky. She hurls a fire spear at the beast. The dragon dodges. Monster paws. Defenders fire their ballistas. They nailed the wing. Van clocks the monster's sharp eyes and weaves through its strikes. Those wounds should slow the dragon. MC orders a second shot. Ballistas rain down arrows. The monster growls and dodges. The aristocrat cursed. The second shot did 0 damage. Relieved, the adventurers sprint through the gate. The boy kills the celebration. The attack isn't over yet. Panamura summons another fire spear. This buys time. Everyone retreat to the village. Dragon dodges the fire again. With a flick, Panamera instantly counters the rebounding monster. Wang watches stunned as fire blasts the enemy. The dragon roars, burning as it scrambles to escape. He witnessed the raw power of fire magic. She leaned on her knee. Panamera races to the village to rally a counterattack. The noble evacuates, but the monster is already set. The beast leaps onto the fort. Injured, Why could only rush after them? They got cocky after the armor dragons, but this beast is different. Suddenly, someone charges. D chose hand-to-hand, but the MC shut him down fast. Espada charges the dragon, dead serious. Wang fails to stop the butler as he marches toward the dragon. Wang tries to stop him, but the butler marches straight for the dragon. His persistence set the noble off. He refuses to leave without him. Smiling softly, the butler says that's a problem. The old man promised he'd stall and return. He wasn't satisfied and refused. The dragon charges until an earth pillar erupts. The strike connects. The old man's satisfied, and Wang's stunned by his power, but he realized it was already too late. The MC pushed the butler any way he could. The old man's struggling to run, so Kamsen steps up to help. Wang leaves the butler to Kamsen and bolts ahead. The noble eyed the fortress, even sprinting. The village was still miles away. Wang searched for a way to help those out of stamina. Panamera and his men take position. Wang barked orders while sprinting. Mid-sprint, he rallies the shooters. The Viscount asks him for her next move. The boy was stunned. Panamera was waiting for his command. He tells her to bind the dragon with magic and fire the ballistas. Smiling, the Viscount admits she has no better plan. She's hyped for her first magic lesson, while Van just stammers a nervous apology. The dragon bursts from the rocks. The monster charges. Wang plotted how to stall for the evacuation. Suddenly, a cloak flashes before him. D and his knights step in to buy time. Wang's stunned by their bravery. They close in on the beast. Dragon spots him and roars, shattering the knight. Knight slashes the monster's paw, sending its claws flying. The dragon roars and lashes its tail, but the assistant's shields are already up. The monster hunted humans. Espada and Wang trade looks, Then the mage strikes the beast. Butler traps the dragon under a stone again, saving the knights. The monster shuts down the attack. Worried, Wong tells Espada and Kamsen to move it. Butler and Kamsen bolted. Rose falls retreat. Wong's stunned, even injured, they charge ahead. Dragon charges the knights. In range, he orders Panamera. The fire spear blitzes the monster, but the dragon blocks with its wings. Flames roared. The noble orders a volley from the village west. The beast snuffs out the flames. Arrows rain down on the dragon. Most missed, but the hits were devastating. Wong times the strike, orders fire, and the dragon roars in pain. All eyes on the monster, hoping, monster down. He blocked his head, but the arrow still tore through him. Those wounds are fatal. The noble orders more volleys, just in case Panamera watches him on edge. Wine-ass diet. Check. Night crept toward the dragon. The crowd trembles as D stalks the monster. Sword leveled, the knight spots an open eye. The toothy mouth snaps open to devour D. He narrowly dodges the snapping jaws. The knight slays the monster. The dragon falls. The knights cheered their victory. Wong sized up the danger and sighed. He turned toward the fortress with absolute confidence. He tells the defenders the enemy is finished. The crowd erupted in a massive victory cry. The fighters finally breathe a sigh of relief. The town celebrated the win. No, Aaron rushes over, asking if Van's okay. Wait, let's look at the worriedly part. He smiles, says he's fine, then points out the ones who actually need help. The kid was spent. Panamera closes in. She praised his command. The Viscount hails the noblesse latest dragon conquest. He objects, while the villagers behind him talk battle. He admits he'd be nothing without them. And she agrees. She notes the Countess' lands would have been hit way harder. The aristocrat figured those defenses were way stronger. Panamera says there are no heroes here. D and Espada are just resting in the back. Wong smiles, calling the whole team a source of pride. The Viscount singled out the ballista's massive power. He says he can still get stronger. She calls for a victory party to honor D, Van, and Espada. Wong's stunned by the new Dragon Slayer title. Vanna declares victory from the estate balcony. The MC rewards the key players. First up, Panamera Carrera Cayenne. The Viscount's glare silenced the crowd as they snapped to attention. She shocks the crowd, admitting the city would be history if they hadn't all stepped up. Panamera noted 0 casualties and minimal damage. The crowd's inspired. The Viscount steps up to name the heroes behind their victory. D vouches for his merits. The second A spotter, Panamera, smirks, eyeing the last hero. Crowds roar as she announces Van. She listed his merits, leaving him totally embarrassed. The Viscount reveals the noble's role in the battle. Everyone roared his name. Shocked by the love, the boy waves back. The ceremony ends. Cutting begins, and Panamera's still stunned by the weapon's insane sharpness. The Viscountess is stunned by hundreds of swords, but the noble shuts her down, demanding 5 gold pieces for the job. Gagal Mangunchi. The Viscount and our soldiers gathered the materials fast. The warehouse was packed. Next, an even bigger warehouse rose. Fortress wall nearly finished. Lango returns to the village. He was stunned by the changes. His brother warned that wasn't the only problem. Wang greets Lango. He arrived with a massive group of traders. Mary Bell tags along to the warehouse while the MC ushers the merchants into the carriage. The merchants were stunned a dragon was inside. Merchants are stunned as the kid gleefully plots his future riches. Bell counts over 100 white gold coins. Wang was floored by the massive amount. He asks the merchant about those trades. He explains it's a capital auction for high-end items. He tells Bella he and his brother get a cut too. The merchant praises the kid's smarts and heart. Mary saw he'd risk his life for that profit. The aristocrat pitches a trading company. The proposal stunned Bella. The village's massive upgrades stunned the merchants. Offers flooded the boy, one even suggesting he open a shop. A merchant from Mary's company, Wong, breaks down the buy price and the resale value. A merchant offers a fair price for the shell dragon, promising future favors in return. He saw right through their hidden agenda. This battle is a game changer, and nobody's worried about the fallout. As the village expands, they'll pay top dollar for raw materials. They don't care about this remote village, they only want profit. Analysis complete, he thanked them for the talk. Wong turns to leave, but a merchant warns him, "Don't count on those two." They fought to prove they were his best option. To ditch them, he shouted the merchant's offer, leaving Lengel stunned. He demanded a higher price. The traders pounce to shut Lango up. That fury rattled the merchant. Bell steps up for his brother. Traders glared as Mary exposed the scheme. The merchants were fuming. A merchant tries to bribe Bell. Wang heard them loud and clear. The brothers proved they're legit. To Mary, honesty was everything. The brothers know trust is their ultimate future profit. A trader threatened to kick him out of the company. Fight over, the boy asks, if they re-okay. The brothers hated the merchants' greed. Bell sticks to trading solo. Merchants grabbed their gear and hashed out the details. Starting a company requires a noble-s backing, but they'll demand a massive cut of the profits. These nobles get rich doing nothing. Van asks about the collection. Mary Bell made it clear everyone has their own. He asked who recommended Mary's company, and the brothers were hyped. Mary's recommendation came from the ruling Berlin royals, and the boy knew this was bad. A grand trading company looms. Wang knows the higher the noble S rank, the stronger the business. The hero sees the company's aristocratic backing, but Wang sits back, legs crossed, hating the system. Chin in hand, the boy calls the king's favoritism unfair. Across the van, the manager and his brother offer Mary's business prime expansion deals. Feudal lords are hooked on the nightly orders, rare materials, and slaves. Rumor says Chairman Mary Triumph was the king's concubine. As her rose-hatted portrait flashes, his brother reels in shock. Wang warns things are only getting worse. If the Mastasio traders spot their rivals building a business, they'll kill all support. The hero can already hear them whispering. Wang reveals the Merchant Guild is a global powerhouse. Since their HQ is abroad, they can greenlight any company that meets their criteria. The manager agrees. They owe Wang big. The new store is a go, and the cash is secured. The boy stressed over noble support, but Wang instantly ruled his family out. His father was a lost cause, and his beloved brother lacked a title. Only one noble could help Wang Said. He'll ask Vikat Panamara for patronage, his only noble contact. The group beamed. Wang promised to convince the vicar, but the merchants ignored him, weeping with joy and hugging. Seeing her snap, the boy offers to talk. The brothers keep cheering while Wang asks if they can even hear him. The hero knew this, put Panamera at a massive disadvantage. Wang asks the Viscountess directly, and she agrees. He's stunned, making Mrs. Panamera crack up. She smiles, explaining her choice, as knights clash swords behind her. She's safe as a rising noble, but backing a weak two-man startup under this pressure would shatter the royal family's authority. Wang realized she was right. This was about royal honor. He suspected a hidden attack, blaming his commoner roots for the paranoia. Panamera lacked a thief or knightly order, so to climb the ranks, she had to act wild and get the public talking. The Viscount saw the profit. This dragon-slaying upstart and her 100 soldiers were heading for the capital. Panamera says this will cause a stir. The boy realizes no one expects a border village to pack dragon-slaying gear. Wang's thrilled framing the Viscountess keeps his family off his back, but the girl thinks he's insane. Dragon kills are rare, and the nobles will hear every detail, the loot, the tactics, and the damage. Success is your only ticket into the royal order. Panamera warns that even if she takes the credit, the trail leads straight to Van. He's not happy. Van's annoyed Exiled once, now they're summoning him back while he's busy building his village. The girl mocks his runaway attitude, then remembers Van really is just a kid. Panera leaned in, offering Van a secret to never being sent back. He was hooked. He asks if it's for real, and the Viscount says it's easy. She grins, telling him to earn a title for independence and a new family advice Wang never expected. She treated it like buying an apartment. Panamera's plan, credit the baby for the kill and blame her own moves on a time delay. Wang protests, sure, this will change everything and draw way too much heat. The Viscount leans in fast, demanding to know why the boy's upset. Startled by the speed, the kid flinches in terror. Wang's hyped, but this new title spells trouble. He pictured his family. His father was a wild card, but his brothers, they'd definitely attack. Picturing his brother, he knew outranking Marcia would be awkward since they'd grown so close. Seeing Vance down, Panamera realized an 8-year-old dragon slayer was guaranteed a legendary title. The hero tenses as she offers a fortune and a backed business. It's all upside, and she knows he's hyped. Panamera reveals that after getting her title, enemies and allies alike swarmed to exploit her. A sinister smile spreads as she remembers, magic fire in hand. She claims she turned them to ash, leaving a horrified Van screaming. Panama laughs, telling Van to use ballistas. A massive body count ensures total obedience, leaving the boy terrified by the ruthless survival tip. Hero warns that taking all the glory leaves the vicar with no way to rank up. Panamera grins, asking if he's really worried. She didn't think her life would stress an 8-year-old, while the vicar snarls like a wolf. Trembling like a cornered rabbit, Van insisted he wasn't worried about her. Still feeling like a rabbit, the boy begs the Vike not to eat him. She laughs, calling his answer as funny as ever. Panamera grins, telling Wang to relax. She won't eat him for the next 5 years. She offers Van dragon feet to help him grow, leaving the boy frozen in total disbelief. 2 days later, Lingo offers 130 white gold. Wang smiles and accepts, stunning the onlookers. Deal closed. The hero thinks the trade deal is set. He, or Panamera, provide the recommendation for a 10 cut of the profits. Wang figured Lengo was at the harbor selling forest and shell dragon loot when a shout erupted. Did the merchants just leave? Workers swarm. The manager's brother confirms the empty-handed merchants can still be caught, but the manager is fuming. He can't face the company with nothing. Panamera sighs. The merchants expect mercy after the failed shipment, forcing them to sell for 80 white gold pieces. Van gets nervous, swearing he definitely doesn't want that. The boy hitches a ride on his custom cart with Ordo's crew, while Panama marches the army to the capital to claim the title of Van. She handled the escorts and manpower. Wang beamed, absolutely thrilled. He thanks a shocked Panamera, certain they're safe as long as she's around. She blushes, admitting such open trust is embarrassing. The kid's reaction hits like lightning, leaving Panamera staring at the stunned Van in disbelief. Carnival's Festival of Lights is in full swing, but the crowd freezes as a mysterious glowing figure appears above. The manager checks in, but Wang just smiles. They need carts and horses for the dragon loot, and he's starting now. The result? A massive, light but strong wooden cart with a roof rack and canopy. The manager and his brother were hyped. Panamera offers her elite horses, promising shocking speed and power. The boys accept and thank her. Wooden wheels creak as the cart rolls across the grass. Mary's caravan crawls across the mountain plains as a trader asks if they've caught up. Mary's traders mock the brothers' stupidity, knowing they'll never sell their raw materials in this wasteland. The irritated merchant warns that without him, they can to form a caravan, they'll soon regret saying no. Chaos erupts as a mysterious cart rolls in. Clear the path, someone shouts, while panicked merchants demand answers. A cart rolls past. Stunned merchants ask why knights are in this remote village. One man asks if it's the Marquis's carriage, but his friend snaps back. Van Fertio is just an exiled youngest son, and this cheap caravan is no noble ride. A KRVM member points in shock, shouting for the others to look. Unicorn flags flew over the carts, leaving the caravan in total shock. Mary's traders stare in shock as Viscount Cayenne gallops past, looking dead calm. Traders freeze, seeing Lango with her, but he just grips the reins and smirks. Mary's caravan froze in shock. They recognized the wealthy Mrs. Panamera, but she belonged in the Count's lands. Why was she here with Langego? Merchants realized the duo's partnership means Belen Lango launched their own firm. They were dead wrong. These guys have transport and buyers locked in. If true, the merchants' trip and profits are toast. They promised the boss 40 shelled dragons, and now they're panicking. Returning empty-handed means losing their merchant status. If they'd accepted the 100 white gold earlier, everyone would have scored a massive profit. The merchants debated their move. One suggested helping and apologizing for the double trip, but another refused, arguing they'd already been kind enough. He urged them to tell the boss Bell and Lengo sabotaged their plans and lied, sweating bullets from the pressure. He ordered a retreat. Everyone's stunned. The merchant begs for mercy as the carts roll across the mountain plains. Meet the king of Scudaria Dino and Zola Berlinatai. Crowned at 16, he revolutionized the military by 20, building the strongest army in history. King Dino's reforms prioritized the military, demanding every officer below adjutant rank be a battle-hardened veteran, while the commander focuses on blood ties and preventing betrayal. This reform demands blood. Before, every noble became an officer by birth, leaving the incompetent with no real work to do. Meanwhile, wealthy houses like Ferdinand and military elites like Aferzio surged ahead. Promoted to Count's-Guard commander at 16, she survived the war against Aranet, where her squad's legendary feat shifted the entire conflict. She's now an aristocrat, grateful to Count Ferdinand for promoting her from a simple knight and securing her title. Impressed by her deeds, the king promoted her to count in just 6 years. He's certain she's back to demand another rank up for her latest military victories. Glaring, he asked if she really wanted to give her title away, but he saw no worthy successor. This was Scuteria's 43-year-old ruler, Dino Anti. She explains he's a border lord guarding a remote village alone, making a capital visit impossible. The king questions, rewarding such a minor noble for vague achievements. The king chuckles. If a war hero is vouching for him, it's promising. But how did he win battles in a remote village without any knights? He's hooked, but he needs a real answer. The girls announced their dragon conquest, shocking the throne room. This wasn't a defense, it was a total takeover. The king's aide is stunned. A 4-element mage grew up here, but the girl reveals his family actually exiled him for having production magic. By the ship, a man asks if the dragons are handled. The king cuts him off, demanding to know who he is. He's Van Nefertio, the Marquis's son, and a hero who slayed dragons at just 8 years old. Pro's confused since the Marquis never reported this, but she insists the target, the villagers, and she herself can all prove it's true. The day he reached a tiny village of 100, bandits attacked, but he and his escorts crushed them and saved the town. The king was stunned by the boy's victory, and the girl knew she'd finally caught his eye. He fortified the village with clay walls and rebuilt the houses, leaving everyone shocked that an 8-year-old pulled it off. The ancients' force was 100 commoners, The knightly order's deputy, the Marquis, 2 knights, a butler, an old mage, and 5 adventurers. She even jumped. Van Nefertio won with 0 casualties. The advisor was skeptical, but she proved it with materials from the slain dragons. She reveals 40 shelled dragon carcasses, making the men scream in shock. Even for capital knights, that's an impossible feat. She ignored the chaos she caused. Villagers say the boy led the charge, but the reports don't match. Checking the dragon will prove the truth. The advisor smells a lie, suspecting the man is using the kid as a puppet to catch the thief. But the king shuts him down. He trusts the boy completely. The king asks if the boy wants the thief, and she confirms. He warns that inspectors arrive soon, so there's no way to fake it. The king trusts her, but if she's lying, she loses her title and faces brutal punishment. Does she understand? She agreed, urging the king to see Wong's rapid transformation firsthand. With the village thriving, maybe he'd finally appoint a new lord to defend the state. Intrigued, the king stood and demanded to see Van Nefertio immediately. A massive dragon skull parades through the square, stunning the crowd. A guy in the crowd shouts to Mrs. Panamera as she approaches. She announces Van Nefertio is now a baron, with his dragon-slaying reward to be decided later. Everyone's talking about Marquis Ferthio's 4th son, the child prodigy who just slayed a dragon. Panamera's filing the trading company papers today. Now she just needs a name. Eyes blazing, he names him Longo. She's stunned. The older brother is ignored, but he's certain his brother would love seeing his youngest's name, even from the grave. Panamera registered it as Bell and Lango to avoid any future naming conflicts. Within days, the new trading company and Baron Vanna became the talk of the capital. The legend spread, but the ending changed. A young master swordsman cornered and beheaded the dragon. The rumors are working. Her role looks so real, everyone thinks the plan is going perfectly. She tells him the real fun starts now and asks for her gratitude. Ever since Pinamara and her crew left the village, walls are up, more balises are ready, and the 100 villagers are rotating shifts. Houses went modern, turning the village center into a scenic, functional hub. The hero builds 2 towers and asks who wants a meal with a view. Black Hair loves the Aligo Tower's view of the main road, so the hero tells Kamsen she's a fan of heights, while the second girl prefers the Bud. The man asks if the hero's hitting Oligo Tower, making his exhausted knights cringe at another bathhouse. Instead, they pivot to Budo Tower for training, dragging the soldiers along and leaving the 10 minutes to the top. The hero's gassed, but Kamsim's outclimbing everyone. Hero praises her resilience, but she warns they reach at their limit. Once they stand, they refinished. They finally hit the tower balcony. The trio smiles at the view. Wang notes the tiny 100-person population, and Till agrees with these massive buildings and gear. This village is basically a city already. Van rejected Vanna Village, but the locals weren't satisfied. He braced for Vanna City jokes, but Till actually thought the name sounded great. Nay asks if she's mocking him. She denies it. Kamsen calls the hero, pointing to the side. The hero's vision is fading to villager levels. He can't see far anymore, and Kamsen blames it on him, constantly staring into the distance. Kamsen reports no soldiers, just kids, elders, and servants. Shocked, the hero questions if the scout's legendary vision is actually that sharp. With an hour until arrival, the hero breaks for lunch. Till serves his favorite fried egg sandwich, made extra delicious thanks to Mr. Bell's premium bread. The boys rave about the meal just as someone rushes over. The girl calls to Mr. Wingstruck by her beauty. The hero smiles. Panamera heads to the capital while Aruf stays behind. Espada trained her. Hero asks Harut what happened, dropping formalities since she's just a kid. She's tiny, and calling her lovely, The hero feels a bond beyond love and can't help but stroke her hair. She blushes hard. He thinks she's an angel and apologizes for the accident, stuttering. She asks him to listen and just call her Root. Hero finds it cute and asks if it's possible. Shyly says she's just making things easier, calling her a Root. He asks what she came to tell him. She stammers a warning about fugitives, but the hero catches her questioning tone on the word village. Crowds are everywhere, and there's no cover to the village. She asks for a plan, suggesting they talk at Mr. Wang's house. She's finally warming up to him. He's still shy, but her body language shows she's focused on him as she rambles about the latest village gossip. The hero moves the talk to his house, but first checks if their guests are friendly, while Till reveals Otto's team hit the forest at noon. Hero recalls Dee's squad, and a spotter, Kumsen salutes and bolts for the opposite tower, leaving the hero stunned by his endless energy. Construction was training for the hero, but Kamsen's insane grit blew him away. Kempstein conquered Dee's hellish training. Kamsen doesn't realize he's already one step ahead of the hero in fencing. Rivalry burns Abu and Ro out, leaving the hero feeling physically outclassed. Kamsen's a beast. Even among kids, the fastest and strongest are always the heroes. A crowd gathers. The butler says they re from nearby villages, and their leader is at the door. The hero lets them in. An old man enters, asking if this is Seat Village. The hero repeats his question. The old woman expected Seat Village, but what kind of insane city was this? Hero asks Spada about Seattle. The butler explains that Seat people once lived here, and their remains are why the village is called Seat. The village has a name. 8-year-old Mr. Wang realized he'd been played, falling victim to a massive scam right under his nose. The hero was clueless that the village was named after him, and as the old man confirmed they'd reached Seattle, the butler couldn't wait to see the fallout. Hero asks why they're here. The old man says the village is unrecognizable since his childhood. Hero demands answers again, then remembers the old man's words. The elder says the neighboring village is dying with no youth and crushing taxes. They've come here to beg for sanctuary. Hero asks about resettlement and the missing youth, assuming they left for city cash. But the old man reveals they were forced out. The old man reveals the youth were drafted for war. The hero grills him for more info. The man confirms it. No workers means no taxes, and the Count has abandoned them. The hero realizes they're from Count Ferdinand's land. Sturkey lied about the distance. It's a 2-week trek. Fearing the Count's judgment, they skip the city and head straight for the Marquis' territory. Worried about the Count, then reject the villagers. Stealing his people makes him look weak, and that's trouble. But these people risked everything to reach the hero. He didn't want to spark a war between the Marquis and Count, but he couldn't ignore those in need. Hero asks if the whole village is ready. Shaking, the old man begs for acceptance. The hero offers no taxes, free food, and shelter to build the village together. The man asks if this is paradise, but the hero checks the numbers. 13 arrived today. 1 house per family. The hero warned them not to expect much, but the old man beamed. It was more than they ever dreamed of. The old man offers his toddler granddaughter as a servant to repay the hero's kindness. But the hero tells him to stop selling his grandkids. Our hero is stunned. These people trade humans like New Year's gifts. He knew about historical servitude, but seeing it firsthand is sickening. Even for a modern Japanese guy, this is hard to swallow. Shocked by the disregard for life, the hero offers 2 spare carts. The old man accepts, using cows to pull them so the horses stay fresh for the trip home. The hero eagerly asks for milk cows, and Starkey confirms the Count's famous pastures are full of them. 5 or 6 calves are born and mature every year. Despite annual sacrifices, they always keep over 10. Moving here meant more cattle, so the hero recruited Otto's team. He told the exhausted old man to rest at the soldiers' inn, where food and beds were ready for everyone. The old man isn't the village chief, leaving the hero stunned. Later, the villagers are stunned by their gorgeous new home. It's even bigger than the village leader's mansion. The kid tells him to shut up. They know the owner swaps houses. A mental laugh mocks them. It's not the house, the rival's furniture is just way better. The heroes suggest a party for the arriving villagers. The shocked crowd questions them, so the hero invites everyone to his brand new bathhouse. Hero tells Tillen to gather the village, prep food, and guide the guests. The boys agree. Harut approached Van, asking about the people. Van remembered she's actually Count Ferdinand's daughter. He didn't seem hostile, making a great impression. He explained they fled their dangerous village and just wanted to provide food and shelter. Root promised a better life, and she believed him. Since he claimed they were neighbors, she never questioned whose territory they actually came from. 2 months since her arrival, Van checks in and asks if she's staying for good. She stammered, agreeing it was for the best. He says they're just kids, so forget about marriage. Smiling, he asked for her choice. He tells her to think. She echoes his question, what does she want? She says yes to Mr. Wang, stuttering out an explanation. He proposes and she blushes. Van's a gentleman. He won't embarrass her. She hides her blushing face as the hero offers to forget what he heard. She agrees and he gets the hint. The girl calls out Wang's weird walk, but he just smiles, secretly peeking with joy that she's finally noticing him. Crowds swarm the tables. Wang hears their back, and the boy congratulates Otto. Seeing the crowd drenched in blood, he demands answers. He apologized for the monster blood, leaving the hero confused until Orthos revealed they'd stumbled onto the dungeon entrance. Dungeon news stunned the hero. Silence fell, and the truth only hit him later. Hero found exactly what they dodged. Yellow birds, fat merchants, and monsters are obsessed. Espoto calls the gentleman, who shudders in fear. They found the dungeon and must alert the capital fast. The hero warns, move now or daddy takes it all. Spada agrees, reporting to the capital in secret is their best move. The hero wanted the title and land before revealing the dungeon, but he's out of options. A new adventurers guild is coming, so we need shops, inns, and a casino. Add guards for safety, and prep for the flood of new villagers and livestock. The hero summons him, gifts him a horse, and orders a report delivered to Kassar. Shocked, he yells, Van, you're sending me alone. Hero asks if the lookout found the dungeon. Kassar clutches his chest. Stunned, he guessed right. Otho knows Kassar is capable, but wants to join her. The hero refuses, citing a village escort mission. The price, 1 large gold coin for 2 weeks of work. Otho warns Kassara to stay sharp on the road to the capital, shouting that they re-heartless. Pitying him, the herd's hero hands over a mithril sword. The others fumed, calling it unfair and demanding to go to the capital themselves, but Kassara just cheered and waved, gloating that the master chose him. Otto's team meets the villagers while Kassara hits the capital to report the dungeon. Humming a tune, Kassara swings his blade, glad his good deeds paid off. The young master knows his stuff. This dagger is light and feels perfect. The boy stops his horse, then pushes on Zara's, so busy admiring his new weapon that the trip to the capital blurs past. A few more kilometers and the city is in sight. Kassara spots a flipped carriage. Beside the carriage, orcs devour a horse. Kassara keeps a close eye on them. He saw their hunger. Orcs are driven by 4 basic needs: food, rest, lust, and bloodlust. This orc feels pure lust and bloodlust for whoever's in that carriage. Spinning his dagger, he admits, you're normally a threat. He grabs the dagger, mocking that the fight's now way too boring. Orcs keep devouring the horse, ignoring Tsar. They charge, slicing the monsters apart. Monsters snarl as the boy strikes. He warned them to stay still, but they lunged. He dropped them one by one, trashing their teamwork. He drops the last foe and admires his blade, a mithril dagger forged by Mr. Wang Man. This thing is cool. Falling from the carriage, she thanks her savior and introduces herself as Familia Stratos. She figured he was a noble, but still asked for his name. Zaro claims he's no ordinary adventurer, but his fancy sword convinces her he's a noble on a secret mission. She vows to keep his secret forever, even as he tries to. Giggling, she understands. With his blessing, she heads for the capital on foot, vowing to repay her debt one day. He's heading to the capital and insists she ride. She refuses to be a burden, but he sits her on the horse anyway, joking that the beast prefers a light lady over a guy like him. Smiling, she says it's been ages since she was called a little lady, then reveals she's actually 30s. He laughs, calling her a joker for looking under 20. She thanks him and asks Mrs. Framley where to take her. She didn't know her driver bailed. He asks why she's heading to the capital. Familia's barren father died in battle. Her home was seized, and she lost everything. Now she's heading to the capital to find work as a maid. Upset, she refuses to tell him, asking if it's a total shame. He asks what she means by finding her path, then tells her there's no shame, he's the same way. Smiling, he invites her to his border village, certain there's work for her too. He swore to protect her no matter what, promising she wouldn't regret it. She smiled and agreed. She agrees to join him, but he's soon killed. Suddenly, a dungeon is discovered on the Teos border. They were spotted near the village that killed the forest dragon and armored troops, the home of the new baron, Vanna Furzio. The wildest opening a branch and buying all mined materials at a 20 markup. Map the dungeon for a special reward. The crowd's fired up. Adventurers surround Zer and Familia, demanding the truth. Who really killed the dragon? Was it Baron Wong? And how long is the trek from the village to the dungeon? Kiseri yells, he's out of time, and heads home. The group screams for him to stop. This was his idea. The party tails him, refusing to back down. But Kasara shuts them down. He's crashing at a hotel, not going home. So following him is a total waste of time. They loaded a cart with supplies and left the capital, but a massive crowd followed him anyway. She apologizes for the debt, but he brushes it off, blaming himself for her situation. For the first time in years, she's truly smiling, all thanks to Kasara. He smiled, calling the tiny master a great man. He promised she could trust them. The village would keep surprising her until her smile grew even brighter. She agreed, saying she can wait. Carts roll as the weary crowd follows Otto, asks will Kasara reach the capital on time. He's testing his new mithril dagger while she pushes to finish the job. Last time they slacked off. A forced dragon ambushed them. Plurial's been way too strict lately. Otto's stunned by the massive refugee wave, especially the elderly. These villagers usually spend their entire lives without ever seeing the outside world. They'd rather starve than leave. Ortho's seen it a dozen times. Abandoning your home is brutal, and these people clearly went through hell. He spots a woman barely standing, giving her cart seat to the elders. Otto warns her time is short, but she admits she hated their remote village and dreads moving deeper into the wild. Otto agrees they're far from the capital, but this border village is a paradise, better than any city. She's confused, but Otto ignores her, shouting that the village is finally in sight. He pointed at the fence they were closing in. Sight Village welcomed guests with snacks and drinks, making them feel right at home. Everyone's exhausted, So the hero kicks off a barbecue before bed. Let the welcome dinner begin. Chief Fabia bows in thanks for the shelter. Van introduces himself, hoping they'll get along. Hero hails Orthos for saving everyone, but Orthos stays humble, calling his pay too high. Plurio asks Van if another beast is ready. 10 massive three-eyed boars ambushed the hero at the lake, leaving him shaken. Otto warns their magic paralyzes anyone who gets close, freezing their body instantly. The hero had no idea these beasts were so deadly. 10 ballista shots did the trick, Orthos laughs, admitting he's been slacking when a hungry kid approaches asking for food. Hero says, "It's possible," ordering Till to serve the soup and meat. Till tells him to trust her and calls the kids over. She tells them to take their time, but the kids are stunned by the massive feast. The hero promises this spread every day for a week, and the children can't believe they get to eat. Hero yells, "There's plenty for everyone," and the crowd finally starts eating. Everyone wept at the incredible flavor. The crowd backed them up. Plurial Author and the villagers watched the guests, smiling. Someone shouted to pull the rope. Seattle was booming, and the crowds were only getting bigger. A kilometer from the village, locals helped build a new adventurous city. Esparta spots a detour, and the hero orders everyone right. Neighboring elders tended the cows, while Abgalu supplied the feed, and surprisingly, they made a perfect team. Neighboring kids loved the new houses, and, awed by the massive walls, explored the village alongside the Seattle crew. Hero loved the crowd. He's mid-spell when someone calls him. D offers more logs, the hero requests 100, and D promises to deliver them today. D orders the crowd into the carts and toward the forest. Everyone follows, leaving the hero stunned by their instant obedience. Order recruitment. The room went dead silent. One guy admits Esparta already recruited him. D is stunned, as Esparta calls the rest of the crew forward to sign. D questions the motto, while the hero realizes he's late. The crew waves, still free, and the hero celebrates the good news. Hero names Die Leader and Abba and row deputies, but 20 men isn't enough. With a new city rising, he forms an elite village squad to shock the Esparta. Kamson rushes the hero Kasara's back. He's leading a horse-drawn cart with a massive convoy trailing behind. The hero thanks him, admitting he couldn't see. Till shrugs it off, claiming she's blind as a root too. The guy dryly thanks them for their kindness. Hero spots a guy and a girl. Stunned, he asks who they are, then screams, "It's impossible." Till suggests he saved the girl and fell in love. Her root loves the heroic tale, but the hero thinks it's too good to be true. Kamson hypes Kasara as a total beast fast, perceptive, a trap expert, and a master of swords and throwing knives, leaving the hero stunned by his insane versatility. After a quick debate on Kasara's coolness, Kasara tells Mr. Wang to pipe down. The hero greets him and asks who's tagging along. Kasara had nowhere to go after their weird meeting, so he took her in. He asked about adding more residents, but the hero didn't mind. They already had 300. Kasara realized he meant the neighboring village. The population just exploded. Till greet the new girl and introduce her to Lord Vane Furzio. Familiar Stratos claims Lord Kasara saved her from an orc ambush near the capital. The hero asks if it's true. He shamed the innocent guy for being uncool, but she wasn't having it. She claimed he outshined every legend. The girls cheered, but he still doubted her. Back to business, the hero asks about the mob following the guy. Seeing these adventurers, the hero knew the world was doomed. Kasara apologized. His guild report just lured in a mob of greedy idiots. To avoid scaring locals, he had them camp outside. He wanted adventurers to become future VIPs and spread good rumors, and they loved the plan. Hero sends the tired guy back, promising a fortified inn for the night. Zara agrees and asks for the boss's location. Van reports Otto's team found the dungeon perimeter in ruins, making a stronghold impossible. Now, Kasara steps up to take over. Sarah rests today to lead tomorrow. They bow and leave, but the hero clocks the girl's noble status. Aruid IDs her as Baron Trados' daughter. The hero asks if they've met, but Aruid only knows the rumors the Baron is dead and his house is. A report disagrees. The familiar has 30 members. Everyone froze in shock, demanding answers. Kamsen calls the world a miracle. The hero thinks she's a teen and stays silent. Smart move, never mention a girl's age. The hero gets back to city building. Shops are still down, so he orders a temporary wall for protection. Hero demands a wall to stop mid-tier monsters and secure an escape to the village. A voice calls out, and the boys spin around. Men corner them, asking why they're replaying in such a dangerous area. They claim their village is close, but warn the girl her beauty will attract unwanted eyes. He told her to go home, since everyone was staring. Noting these foul-mouthed bandits felt straight out of a post-apocalypse. Hero asks if these men are actually worried. Kamsen agrees, while Till finds their kindness strange but genuine. Their faces spooked the kids. A man stepped out, scolded his crew, and apologized. He admitted the white oath looks scary, but they're elite. Pondering the guild's name, the hero hears the man's warning monsters make this area lethal for kids. He thanks him, promising to retreat to the village if they find anything. No need to worry. He confirms the Border Village Guild rumors say a young baron rules here, using his gold and men to turn this place into a vital stronghold for the Marquis. The hero wonders who this baron is. Does the Marquis faction really have a genius this young? The man leans in with a smirk, asking what game he's playing. The hero says he's Van-eyed the final cubes. They looked rough, but he didn't care. He unleashed his magic. The hero unleashes massive magic, but the party doesn't even flinch. Wang says it's temporary, but it'll do for today. Adventurers tremble in confusion, but the hero just sighs. It looks weak, but he warns it's a powerhouse that'll grow into a massive defensive wall in just 1 week. The adventurers shouted in confusion, baffled by the insane magic, and called Mr. Wang over. He drops 30 logs and gives his name. The adventurers freeze. Is this kid really? Vanafertio. D levels his sword, demanding to know who ordered him forward. Claiming to be a Furdo knight, he corrects himself. He's the captain of the Sciatian Order. He's hunting the culprit, and his pure rage is terrifying. The party gears up, mocking D as an old man and daring him to try his luck. Dai slices the sword in one swing. Stunned adventurers froze as news of Dai, the Dragon Slayer, and strongest knight spread like wildfire through the village, including a baseball club Kohai. D warns the men commit crimes and die terrified of being butchered. They swear to behave, and the hero agrees, relying on D's reputation to keep the peace. A child lord is a rare sight, sparking the men's curiosity. Asked why he was at the border, the hero revealed he was exiled. They pitied him, but Wang noted that even nobles. The men are shocked by the kid's vocabulary, but he reminds them he's a lord. Ortho panics at the new rivals, while the hero asks when they returned. Orthos just returned from exploring, assuming Zara already reported. Van confirms, then drops a bombshell. He's back with a beautiful girl, leaving the entire group in total shock. Plurial asks about the girl, but the others call it a lie. KSRRA calls out, annoyed they're late. A researcher arrives tomorrow, clearing the guild to finally raid the dungeon. Familia calls Kassar, and he remembers her. Stratos introduces Mrs. Familia to the boys, his companion from the capital. He presents his party to her, But since they're already back, he's staying put today. He waves off, staying at the hotel until morning. As he leaves, the group grills Van. What was that all about? Zara saved the girl from orcs, turning Van into her support. The guys are stunned, but they have to accept it. Van's plan: build their house right next door. Shocked by the two-person housing, they demanded the capital over Kesar. The hero ditched them. Van asks about the dungeon, but she says it's beast-free. The entrance sits on a lethal cliffside. Van asks about the drop, and she confirms it's a long way. The cave-like entrance fits too. They head in to investigate, and the stairs, columns, and glowing magic crystals confirm it. This is definitely a dungeon. The hero asks the distance: 1 hour by cart plus 3 through the forest. He panics, but Pluriel explains that dungeons are always remote to keep monsters away from towns. Building a village in this death trap is impossible, so they'll set up near the dungeon instead. Dungeons attract massive beasts and lethal terrain, making settlements impossible until now. The hero's clueless, but she keeps yapping about Mr. Wang's epic stronghold. His only thought: shut up. He kept his thoughts to himself, making excuses that the forest was too dangerous for his ballistas. Pluriel promised safety, using their dungeon expertise to crush the hero's doubts, but he wouldn't budge. The long, lethal trek home was a nightmare he refused to face. Van demands a dungeon escort, naps, and dessert for the hero till Kamseen and Arte join, while Dai and Esparta stay to build and guard the city. Expecting a rejection after his legendary performance, he knew only his age saved him from a brutal beatdown, but surprisingly, she agrees. She smiles, they'll prep everything and set out tomorrow. Hero stunned Plurio tells author they rebuilding a stronghold tomorrow with Mr. Van time to gear up. His friends were just as stunned as the hero, happily defending the careless lord's land. 3.5 hours since they left the village. The hero never planned on going underground, but below, workers were already struggling under heavy loads. They never planned to bring him for the stronghold. The hero just admired the view. Root agreed. The thin air felt good, but the shaking was a problem. The dungeon drew 50 volunteer guards who took turns carrying their light, homemade palanquin. Everyone was getting tossed around, but the distracted hero was sent flying. The forest terrain shifts as they enter, spotting a giant troll. The adventurer is itching for a fight. Men cheer annoyingly over a field of dead monsters. Hero never saw this coming, till forces a smile as Kamsen trembles beside her. Seasick and miserable, the boy reminds Van they were supposed to be heading to a dungeon. Till says they've been moving since dawn. Cassine is unusually stern, so the hero apologizes and begs him to stop the glare. The girls love the trip's vibe, while Till yells to Mrs. Herut about the steep cliff. Root praised the majestic landscape and mountains, while Till laughed, saying it towered over the clouds. Teal points to a magic beast soaring above, shocking Root and terrifying the hero. Expecting a massacre, the hero grabbed a makeshift crossbow. A shout signaled their arrival, but as he peered out the window, he froze in shock. 2 logs on the cliff. The hero screams for them to stop. The hero roars to do it now. An adventurer hesitates, claiming they're almost finished, but the hero secretly calls him an idiot. The hero roars for space now. Author and Kasara sprint over, both demanding to know what happened. Are these guys idiots? They charge him on the logs as he mockingly warns them to watch their step. Van checks the logs. No fortifications. Even normal workers would quit. These adventurers clearly have zero survival instinct. Facing the party, the hero warns that one wrong step means death. They must master risk control to survive. Understood. An adventurer asks if the place exists, so the hero points and orders him to sit and think. The group forces the screaming man down as Kasara rushes over, and the hero asks if they suggest kicking the log, making Kasara scream. The hero warns that if it breaks among the owls, even the nimble Kasara falls. He asks if they get it, and they all shout. Van points to the cliff, suggesting they reinforce the logs or find a safer path. Kasara proposes lining them up, and Van agrees, telling him to sit. Kasara joins an ally on the ground as the hero demands trees. One builds a bridge, magically linking the two hills. Hero orders the men across, but they whine. It's impossible. Wang threatens to scrap the stronghold, so they shut up and start building immediately. Van spots a cave in the cliffs, a potential dungeon entrance, but the cramped terrain makes building a stronghold nearly impossible. Till approaches, asking what's on his mind. A man asks to scrap equipment plans for a club, but the hero snaps, rejects the idea, and orders him to sit. 3 adventurers approach the hero. One suggests a casino, but he shuts it down. Building a stronghold is proving difficult. At the dungeon gates, the hero taps the cliff for water and uses the rocky slope to build a border stronghold, while the team piles up logs. Root spots a flying beast and asks if they are safe, but the hero tells him not to worry and starts casting magic. 4 hours later, the adventurers are still hauling construction gear. Construction S finished, and everyone is in awe. His friends and subordinates were frozen in shock. Hero gives the word, and the crowd surges into the race. Floor 1 is a massive storage zone that shocks everyone. Floor 2 has a dining hall and 3 bedrooms. One guy gets called an idiot for trying to sleep in the dining room instead of the beds. Floors. Stepped for stability, the building doubles as a terrace. They quickly scout the area while one guy shouts about the view and another claims the spot as his own. Each floor has 4 roof toilets fed by rainwater tanks. Clean them weekly to keep the flush working, but don't drink it. It's dangerous. He asks if they understand. They stammer a yes while zoning out. The hero puts Ortho in charge of the stronghold and training, who laughs and accepts. The hero wants to schedule the dungeon gate closures, but Ortho says they must consult the night-raiding adventurers first. Keep the gates shut, when empty, to buy time. Built with mithril-reinforced plywood, they're solid enough to tank a forest dragon for a full day. Hero barred the windows against monsters, adding extras for light, with a warning to lock them tight, even if the building now looked like a bunch of spotted garden eels. Past noon, the hero orders everyone to move out and demands security. He whined for a nap while it was light, but the heroes barked. He only had until sunset and headed back. He said I'd be mad, but the adventurer just laughed in his face. They mocked him as a baby for angering the lords. He flashed a lethal grin, debating whether to level the entire fortress. He rushed everyone, yelling to hurry or he'd miss dinner. They chased him, laughing and shouting for the others to hurry. The hero felt disrespected, but they were just having a blast. They haul the palanquin again. Kamsen's sick. Someone call Mr. Wang. The party asks about the cliff they just passed, but the hero's terrified he has no memory of crossing it. He demanded the forest be fixed. Building 2 more bridges before leaving, he hit the village at sunset, exhausted but pushing forward. Dean Espada waited at the entrance. His smile terrified the hero. Normally cold and gloomy, the hero flinches when called. The butler demands a talk and orders him to follow. Hero begs to announce dinner, but everyone turns away. He calls Tilla, but shuts down her offer to join. Kamsen refuses next, leaving the hero completely baffled. He called the root, she stuttered, and when he pressed for the truth, she caved. Van grabs Ortho's hand, admitting his request caused everything. Frozen, Ortho blames the butler for the chaos, while the hero showers him with praise. Espada ordered silence, and the adventurer instantly obeyed. The hero shook as the butler turned rogue, earning him a lecture until midnight. His village-saving excuses were instantly shut down. Capital outskirts, servant city. Women without elemental magic are forced into the house of song and dance. Hunters won to touch them. Stay here, and your value drops while the treatment worsens. Words out about a man buying up every servant, and locals are already scrambling for the open spots. One man heard they're being shipped to the state's edge to die in the mines and quarries. She thought she'd die like this, a life without purpose. The girl stared into the distance. Seat village, the adventurer city, crowds of servants wait. Adventurers ask about the caravan, and Van confirms it while bolting. He asks if Lango's back. The hero's back, bringing a massive crowd and horses with him. Reunited after years, they expected hugs, but he only saw his brother's price tag. Lengo sold it for 180 platinum. He brought 150 healthy debt servants under 20, stunning his brother with their top-tier condition. Forget turning 1 platinum into 3. He walked away with 8 large gold coins. After the auction, Lengo tried to quit Miri trading, but the idiots apologized. They need Van's business so bad, they're selling everything at half price. Brother eyes the company as the hero welcomes him back. Lingo notes the long absence, and Van thanks him for the hard work. Introductions later first, he delivers the promised 130 platinum coins. Hero hands till the cash, leaving her trembling. Lango tosses Vanna 2 platinum coins for her cut. He promised a cut of every deal to keep the partnership going. The hero thanks them, promising Bell and Lengo first dibs on his monster loot. A total win-win. Lengo tells Wang he's officially a baron. He's stunned. He's officially a baron. Now his father can't touch his land or title. The crowd roars for their hero. Campson asks if Mrs. Panamera is coming. Lango says she'll arrive after reporting to the Count. She's ditching the Count to expand Van's land and move into his village. Van's stunned he likes her, but Panamura's higher noble rank makes things